Welcome to the Project with Sam and Lewis, the podcast that looks at projects throughout pop culture and history. I'm Sam.
I'm Lewis.
And I'm David.
And on today's episode, we are marking the finale of ProjOctober and the Halloween episode for this year.
Yeah, so all month we've been looking at spooky topics. We started with a spooky game in Project Zomboid.
Yeah.
Had a spooky, was it the anime
Anime,
next? It was Devilman. Then we had the spooky report of
Yeah.
Project Montauk by Sam. And now we've got the episode you've all been waiting
That's
for.
right.
And we've watched the Blair Witch Project just in time for Halloween.
Yes, we have. And it happens to be, I think, David, one of your favourite films.
Yes.
Yes, that's
That
right.
did a very big impression on me.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's kind of the reason we asked David on for this episode, because we knew that he really liked this film. Although I think you said you
Yeah.
hadn't seen it in a while before.
No, I think it's probably been about 10 years since I've actually
Oh
seen
wow.
it.
Yeah, see, I wasn't sure if I'd seen it or not, and then I watched it and I was like, no, I haven't seen it.
Oh, had you not seen it? Okay.
No.
Cool. Okay. Yeah, I think I'd watched it on a laptop about maybe 15 years ago. And like, yeah, I remembered a lot of it. I think, yeah, we'll get into it obviously, but I think, you know, it still stands up, I would say, definitely. But before we get into it, how is everyone doing today?
Yeah, not
Yeah.
bad. Seems like every week is a busy week these days, but I think that's just
Yeah.
called being an adult.
Yeah.
Having responsibilities.
Yeah,
that's
it,
etc. Yeah.
Yeah, who knew?
Yeah. But we'll do a bit of project news before we get on to the
so
subject.
as every week, I've just Googled the word project and picked out a couple of news stories for us to chat about, get warmed up for.
Yeah.
Number one, it's quite a sad one, to be honest.
Oh no, okay.
Don't try not to cry. One of the last two northern white rhinos dropped from breeding project.
Shit, okay.
Yeah. So now
Eco-anxiety.
Fatu is the only donor left in the program aiming to implant artificially developed embryos into another more abundant rhino species.
Right.
So it's kind of like the penultimate nail in the coffin for the white rhino.
Wow.
Which is sad.
That sounds very sad.
It's kind of like, you always hear about like animals going extinct and stuff, but to see such like a prominent animal to actually disappear in front of
So
our
is that white
eyes.
rhinos?
Yeah. They're trying to like implant in like other types of rhinos so they can kind of continue on the
crossbreed
white.
it almost.
Yeah.
Why did they drop the other two from it?
I
Was
think
it just not working?
I think it's just too old,
Yeah.
and it's like it's gone through rhino menopause,
Oh, rhino paws.
rhinopause or menorhino.
Oh, yeah,
But
that is
yeah,
a bit,
so
bit melancholy.
yeah, keep like, you know, let's look after the other animals that are like in that sort of danger.
Yeah.
Should be a lesson to all of us.
If you're listening to this and you've got any responsibility for
Yeah.
for any endangered animals, you bloody
And if you
Do
listen
your
to this
job.
Keep on
and
trying
you've got
hard.
lots of ivory, fuck you.
yeah, especially if it's rhino ivory. You can keep that elephant ivory. That's fine.
No.
That's the official position of the podcast.
No, it's not.
We're pro elephant ivory.
Sam does not speak on my behalf.
David.
Rhino ivory's a bit, more flashy, I think.
Oh yeah.
So, I can kind
So
of
you're
get
on board with that as well, then,
I
okay.
can kind of get on board with that. to be honest.
Wow. I'm gonna have to, maybe like me and Kane and Amy will have our own
But
podcast.
Lewis, you're wearing your classic ivory t-shirt now.
The listeners don't need to
It
know
doesn't look
that.
comfortable at all.
Yeah. Lewis like a Lego man. Sat there.
Guys, I'm trying to keep up this persona of an I was gonna say ivory guy.
pro irony, anti-ivory.
Yeah.
God, that's a tongue twister.
Yeah, so that's sad.
Yes, it
No,
is. Yeah, so that's kind of like.
actually really sad.
Yeah.
I don't know how to
Seriously-
recover from that.
Seriously, that's really sad.
It's going to be a
here's a way
bleak
to
episode.
Yeah.
We'll go on to the other bit of news then. Mark Ruffalo spoke about the Eternals project.
Oh, lovely.
Basically, obviously, Marvel's is it next film? Eternals.
Yeah, I think start of the next month. Yeah. November,
Yeah. Mark Ruffalo's not in it, obviously,
He just said, "Why aren't I in this?"
but
film?"
he was asked about it, and he said, with the stunning visuals of Chloe Zhao and a full set of actors who feel like they're destined for the MCU,
Yeah.
Eternals is unlike any other Marvel movie. So many cool twists in cast chemistry, really make this movie a must see.
Cool
Kind of
twist.
sounds like
Cool
he's
twist.
just like promoting it, but
Yeah, I mean he is.
He
isn't
is.
He's on the
But,
payroll.
you know,
The thing is, though, when it comes to twists in Marvel films, Mark Ruffalo is infamous for giving away.
yeah.
yeah. What
Like,
was it?
There was someone who asked him about
Is it Endgame?
Infinity War.
Yeah,
yeah,
Infinity-
Endgame.
oh, yeah, it was Infinity War,
and
yeah,
he
yeah.
was like, everybody dies.
Yeah.
And then he was like, half of people die,
Yeah.
or like something like that. And I forget who was sitting
Yeah,
next
yeah,
to
you're
him,
right.
but-
I think it's Don Cheadle
But
or
he was
somewhere.
like, dude,
just
shut
like-
up.
And at the time you're like, ha ha ha, and then you watch
Yeah.
the film and you're like,
It's like
Mark Ruffalo is
him
right.
him and Tom Holland
Oh,
just
they're
need
they're
like
both awful.
yeah, they just need like them elves to be taped up
Yeah.
until the film's released.
yeah, yeah. I would say they're just.
I think like
carefree,
part of
aren't they?
it may be like a PR thing to promo the film,
Oh,
get fans
definitely.
hyped. and
It's
be
like the did you see the Andrew Garfield thing with the new Spider-Man? There was like an image of him in the suit, in his Spider-Man suit with his mask off, on like a blue screen, and he kept getting asked about it in like interviews for other things, and he's like, no, it's fake, and it's like, you know, like even if
Yeah.
it's, because we don't know if they're in it for sure or in the new one, but you know, there's a possibility that they are. And it's obviously like it's a bit of a doctored thing, isn't it? You hear the fire alarm going off in the background there.
yeah.
That's
Amy making dinner.
Amy making dinner.
Someone running as well.
I'm just trying to ignore it, and then both these guys just look at me like,
It's quite hard to
should we
do.
be concerned? But yeah, anyway.
Yeah.
But Eternals, are you guys excited about
I'm quite
that?
looking forward to it.
Yeah, what is it?
I was going to ask David. I was going to say, do you know what the Eternals? It's the latest film. Chloe Zhao, who did Nomadland, the Oscar-winning film,
I
best
haven't seen that,
Best
film,
picture.
Best picture.
Francis McDermott, was it?
Yeah, Francis
Yeah.
McDermott. Yeah, very good visuals, like vistas and landscapes and stuff.
Yeah.
And from bits I've tried not to watch much from this because they started releasing trailers and TV spots and stuff.
Yeah,
now,
I
but
kind of
it's
lose track of them. It's got some well-known people, like
Yeah,
Angelina
yeah.
Jolie's in it,
Salma Hayek,
Richard Madden.
Yeah,
So some,
Richard Madden.
yeah,
Is that what his name is? Okay, yeah.
yeah.
I don't know anyone called Richard Madden.
He was in
actually.
Game of Thrones.
Or was it?
I think he
I
played,
haven't seen Game of Thrones.
But
so-
you've read it, haven't you?
I've
He,
read
he
it,
plays Rob Stark.
Oh,
It is
okay.
Richard Madden. Yeah, I was thinking of. I think John Madden is an American football guy.
Yeah, it's the the EA Sports game, isn't it?
That's right. Yeah, I was like, you sure?
Yeah, I've seen loads of people talk about Richard Madden as a potential Bond, but if he's tied
Yeah.
down to Marvel for the next 10 years,
Well, you
be hard
never
to balance
know. We were
both.
talking about it. I don't know if it was on the pod or not. About how some of these, like Angelina Jolie, is either going to die in that film or fly away into space. Like,
Yeah.
I'm sure she's not going to sign a contract for like multiple Marvel.
it's kind of like you
films.
kind of could have seen it coming with Jake Gyllenhaal in Spider-Man.
Yeah,
It's like
although,
he
you
doesn't
know.
tend to sign on for more than one film. Like he
That's true.
kind of tends to do one and done.
He's doing some weird superhero thing now, isn't he? But
Yeah, well, he's kind of got to that point where everyone knows he's a really good actor. He's got loads of money, so he's like, I'll do whatever I want.
He hasn't won an Oscar though, has he?
Is he not?
No,
I
I'm
suppose
pretty sure
not.
not.
Maybe he'll
surprising,
come
yeah.
back and do a big
he could
Oscar.
win one for
Yeah.
playing Mysterio again.
Yeah, it's kind of like Michael Fassbender got really big, really popular, and then just made like shit film after shit film for the last 8 years.
Yeah, to be fair, I can't think of.
The Snowman.
I was
terrible.
having a look the other day. I was like, I think the last film of his that I really, really liked was Frank, and that was like
Oh, yeah, that was
2014.
decent. Yeah,
I
yeah.
haven't seen that.
It's really, really good.
Is that the one with the face?
He's
The
wearing,
weird-
he wears
Yeah,
like the
oh,
big head.
yeah.
Like a paper mache head that he's
Yeah.
like a weird eccentric like guy in a band in like is
Yeah.
it like Ireland, is it?
Yeah, it's Donald Gleason's in it, so probably.
probably Ireland then, yeah. Cool, yeah, but yeah, it's a big kind of cosmic sprawling thing, Eternals. It should be fun.
Should be, yeah.
I don't know how
I mean,
much
you kind of know
it'll
what you're
affect
going to
other
get
stuff.
with Marvel, so
Yeah, they keep going like, oh, it's going to affect the whole MCU, and it's like, yeah, you kind of say that about everything now. So it's kind of hard to take them seriously. But,
yeah.
but yeah, that's good stuff. I mean, Mark Ruffalo, maybe he's being honest. Maybe he went to the premiere and he really likes it.
He
to be
seems
fair.
like he seems like the sort of guy that would just be like, yeah, I thought it was good. Like,
Yeah, I think he was there was a tweet exchange where he was being quite like, I can't remember what it was. He's being quite like brutally honest and the kind of stuff that
Right.
maybe you wouldn't be paid to say. So maybe
What he's being honest about.
about something. It just I can't remember what
Oh,
it
it
was. Like
wasn't
some
to do with
issue.
Marvel?
No, not to do
Oh,
with
okay.
Marvel stuff. It was something to do. It was like calling people out for like behaviors and stuff. Like
Mm.
So I think he's a bit of a
Wild card.
Bit of a loose cannon, yeah. I was
Whoa.
gonna say.
I like it.
Almost like his character.
I like it.
The loose cannon.
Yes, well-known Marvel hero, the loose cannon.
The big green cannon. So does that round off that segment then? Yeah.
Shall we go into the main
Move into
topic
the main
of the
thing.
episode?
So, Lewis, you got a bit of information about the
Shall I
Blair
start with the
Witch
Google
Project?
summary first?
Please,
And see what we think of this is how Google describes the
Yeah,
film.
we normally see if we think it's a kind of apt description.
Yeah,
It's
I've already
pretty
seen,
50-50,
I've already seen
isn't
one
it?
thing that I'm like, I'm not sure that's exactly what happened. So, 3 students decide to go to the Maryland backwoods to cover the mystery behind the Blair Witch incidents. However, they lose their map and things take an unexpected turn.
They lose their map.
So pretty straightforward and short.
I think that's...
But the key thing being they didn't lose the map.
well,
one of them threw away.
We find that out, don't we? Yeah. I mean,
I
that
suppose
kind
they
of
didn't.
works.
They
yeah.
didn't really have to specify lose map. They could have just said lost their way.
Yeah, I think that,
Yeah.
it's a
That
bit
would've been a bit
unnecessary, but
But you know, I think that's a fair.
it's kind of
fair
a
summary.
spoiler-free kind of description.
Short and sweet.
Also, it's called Blair Witch Project, so if you put 2 and 2 together, you can be like, oh, well, something's gonna happen that's a bit spooky.
Yeah,
Which is what you want, isn't it?
And obviously, like most people have heard of the Blair Witch Project, so
Now they have,
Now they have, yeah.
but when it came out, that was a different story.
well, yeah, you could say that about most films.
Yeah.
Before it came
I
out.
already know about Eternals. It
People-
hasn't even
people
come
thought
out.
It was real when it came out. Which is
I
That's
reckon.
true, yeah.
I reckon in like 1980, nobody had heard of Jurassic Park.
yeah.
Well, when was the book written?
Like 88.
John Crichton, Michael Crichton.
Michael Crichton.
Michael Crichton might have known what it was. Noon.
Yeah, okay, one person. Yeah, anyway. So it's directed by Daniel Myrick and Eduardo Sanchez. I wrote down all the stuff they've done since, but I didn't really recognize them for anything.
Anything that...
So Daniel Myrick did Believers, Solstice, The Objective, and Skyman.
No, don't recognise. David, do you recognise it?
Eduardo
No.
Sanchez did Altered, Seventh Man, Lovely Molly, VHS2, Exists,
VHS.
Butterfly
Well, I haven't
Kisses,
seen the VHS film.
and some
Okay,
random like
yeah.
he did like odd
I
What,
always
Butterfly
wanted to watch
Effect?
no Butterfly Kisses.
Oh.
And
Butterfly Effect's quite... Have you seen Butterfly Effect?
Yeah, I've seen
David?
Butterfly
Yeah,
Effect.
yeah.
And
VHS.
he's done like the odd episode of like Supernatural and Criminal
Oh, yeah.
Minds and
VHS is like the anthology, isn't
Yeah,
it?
because I do remember watching a film a few years ago where it was like 3 separate
yeah,
films
we
where
watched...
they put the
that is
put the
VHS.
Okay,
yeah.
then
But
I've
there's
seen- I've seen
VHS.
the first VHS.
Yeah, well, I think we watched one together. Maybe at
I did watch it like with a group of
Yeah, we
people.
watched it
could
like
have
at a
been-
party or like the day after a party or something.
Yeah.
They're kind of weird. They're like they're anthology stories. So you get
Wow.
a 3 short film. I think one of them that we maybe watched is one where there's like a demon at the end.
that makes
I don't know,
sense.
yeah. There's one where it's like a murder thing and someone keeps sneaking in at night and like I don't know, yeah. They're quite good, but they're all very like
Is
low
it-
budget kind of.
Is
Yeah.
it? But it all takes place in the house that.
Yeah,
that they're in,
yeah.
isn't it?
There's
Yeah.
like a story going on in the like present day, and some
Yeah.
people are like Blair Witching around a house with their cameras, and they find like a VHS thing, yeah, and they keep putting
Yeah.
in the different tapes, and then they watch a little short.
And it's
horror
like shit was
film.
going on in that room.
Yeah, and then
it
and then you see like
Yeah.
someone following that, but yeah, it's
Yeah.
quite I think it was quite good. I
Yeah,
think they've
fair
made
enough.
2 or 3 of them now, so
Yeah.
Well, he
There's-
did number 2.
well they made 2 or 3, so
they did at least 2.
they
I
might
can
have
tell
done
you
another
that.
one after that, but yeah.
So yeah, it's only really got 3 characters in it.
Yeah, 3 main characters
Who the characters have the same name as the actors.
That's a coincidence. isn't
Heather
it?
is played by Heather Donahue. Mike
Uh-huh.
is played by Michael C. Williams, and Josh is played by Joshua Leonard.
Oh, that's
Um,
coincidence, isn't it?
Yeah,
massive coincidence. I mean, I think I know why they did that though.
probably to build up because they did the whole campaign of like, oh, this actually happened, didn't they?
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
Also, they didn't. There was like no scripts for the
Yeah,
film as
so
well.
it just
Right,
makes it
so-
easier.
so they can just say-
they were just given like cues,
Call
like,
each other
clues
by
and where
their
to go.
own-
So it made it like a much more,
Makes it more natural.
natural reaction.
Yeah. I was having a quick look. I think while you guys are just arriving about some of the behind the scenes stuff. I think we can when it comes up naturally we can move through it.
Yeah.
And stuff. But
So-
yeah. I think a lot of what you said, David. Yeah, I
Heather
read
Donahue
bits.
and Michael C. Williams haven't really done anything of note.
Yeah.
Joshua Leonard, interestingly, because he's probably got the least screen time of the 3. Has done like loads of random bits of like TV. I haven't seen him in anything, but He's got a more filled out filmography on Wikipedia.
Right.
So
he's done stuff.
He's done stuff.
Might not be any good, but
Yeah, it would have been quite, because it's such like a low budget like indie film.
Yeah.
You kind of not expecting any of them to become stars, but it would have been quite interesting.
It would have.
Do you know what the actual budget was for it?
Yeah.
Was it like 5,000 or
So
10,000?
it was between $300,000 and $500,000.
Oh, $300,000 and $500,000.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So still,
So, like,
that's a
half
bit more
million.
than I thought, actually.
Yeah, same. But
But then
did-
where, at like the end credits, there was a lot of people involved.
yeah,
fair.
true. And there was
Like,
Yeah.
more so. Than
I thought you meant there was like a big scene at the end credits. I was like, did I skip the
the
film?
big CG bit when the giant witch starts
Yeah.
terrorizing Maryland.
Like at
It's,
the end of Cloverfield, where you suddenly see like the monster like at the end.
well, it was in the Guinness Book of Records for top budget box office ratio. Did you have that?
Yeah,
on
so the
there?
box
Yeah.
office is 248 million.
Yeah, that's right.
So it basically made like 500 times its budget, which is like
Yeah, yeah.
insane.
That was ridiculous.
I mean, it says between 300 and 500, so it could be like nearly 100 times its budget.
Weirdly, yeah, on this entry on IMDb it says 60,000.
Really?
Yeah,
I was
so-
just going by Wikipedia, said 300
Yeah,
to
yeah.
500.
That's just the one that mentions the ratio.
Maybe
thing,
it's
so
like including different things in the budget.
it could be
Thing is, I know-
inflation as well. Maybe.
I don't think
Marketing
Wikipedia
isn't
usually-
included
No.
in a lot of the budgets.
Yeah, I've seen,
That's-
it
Which,
might
which is
be-
bizarre because marketing makes up roughly 50%.
That's
Yeah.
true,
of
isn't
the
it?
money.
Yeah,
I've
yeah,
never
But I
really
think
understood why they
with
do
this,
that.
probably because it was so cheap, when people first started like hearing of it and it started to become popular, they might have then had a massive marketing push
Yeah.
and spent like 300 grand.
Yeah, I
That's
don't
what
know
marketing.
really. Yeah, because they had I think we'll probably talk about it at the end, but kind of alluded to some of the marketing. It was quite. I think it was one of the first like big viral marketing
Yeah.
films, wasn't it? Yeah, but
Yeah, it's kind of one of the things that like everyone kind of knows about Blair Witch. Like,
yeah,
like that and like Cloverfield had a similar thing.
Yeah.
And like The Matrix, like ones where you just kind of remember a really massive like viral campaign.
it's probably it's one of the like pioneers of found footage stuff, isn't it?
Yeah, so it's not the first, but it's
No.
kind of the breakthrough like found footage film.
The like most modern kind of.
it's like the first like highly successful.
So is it
one.
like was it Cannibal Holocaust or something? Is that a found footage film? It was like an 80s film.
I know there was one
Um,
called Threads, which was a post-apocalyptic one.
Oh, was
It takes
it?
place
Yeah, yeah.
in the north of England. That was like 1970s.
Oh, was it? Oh,
Yeah.
cool.
Okay.
Yeah. So not nearly the first. I mean, it makes
No.
sense as soon
But
as
to be fair,
people have
Threads
cameras.
wasn't like I think that was BBC made, and it was
Yeah, but still, if it
Yeah.
the idea
But,
is
like,
definitely out
I
there.
still think the fact like it made kind of that subgenre of horror
yeah,
kind of more prominent, and we see it all the time.
It's
now.
also the same
Yeah,
with
sure.
the with it happening at the start of like the dawn of the internet being popular
Yeah.
as well. Like that would have helped so much.
It was 99, so it's that era of like,
Yeah.
and like I mean, we've already covered the Monster Project, which like
Yeah, it's like a direct.
yeah, like you could argue that Monster Project wouldn't have happened if it was
Oh
a
yeah,
Blair Witch
absolutely.
Project.
Yeah, like it's so inspired by it. But
Um,
yeah, anything.
So the final
else
bits
in
of the
middle?
ratings. Wanna Joe? What? Firstly, IMDb. You could probably guess it's between 6 and 7 because every film on IMDb is between 6 and 7. We've realised.
Yeah,
So
everyone that we
every
cover.
horror film.
Yeah, well,
Is
it's
like
a lot of
6
ones we
something?
cover.
pretty much every
okay.
film
They
we've
they
covered.
tend to be in that kind
Yeah.
of.
So it fits in that 6.5. Do you want to have a guess at the Rotten Tomatoes score? Either of
Sorry,
you?
No idea.
81, 82.
Sam?
Yeah, 75.
86%. So
Nice,
it's
that's pretty
probably
good.
the highest Rotten Tomatoes score we've had, I think.
Potentially, yeah. We seem to be going up and up with these things, don't
Yeah.
we?
It
We're
just
doing-
keep breaking
Finding
new
better films.
records.
We're gonna have to like our next
It's
one
a
is gonna
good
be
direction
something
to go.
really, really shit, isn't it? Probably.
Yeah, well, I mean, nothing will ever outdo my science project.
No, that's true.
I saw the trailer for that.
Did you watch it?
It was pretty horrific.
Yeah, it's really, really
Oh yeah,
bad.
was that when we were listening to the music?
Oh yeah, you.
Yeah, it was when I was here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. We
I
watched
don't. What, it was like a rip off of what?
Like
Back
Back to the Future.
and like weird science and stuff like that. But yeah, that's a nice.
So
little intro
into the
there.
film.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. Just for you, David. Really, we normally move through the plot kind of as it goes.
Okay.
Me and Lewis have made some notes here and stuff, so keep us kind of on track. But yeah, we'll just diverge and if any trivia stuff that you remember is relevant, obviously
Yeah.
just jump in. So
it opens up with the text that's on the poster. I was going to write it down, but then I didn't bother because I thought Sam will probably write it down.
I didn't write it down. David, do you remember what it says?
I don't remember shit. No.
It's like in 1995, three filmmakers. 94, sorry.
Oh, I don't remember shit.
Three filmmakers went to
Burkittsville, Maryland.
To investigate the Blair Witch. They were never found, but their footage was found a year later.
Yeah.
So it's kind of set up.
This is the footage kind of thing.
Yeah, so it's kind of set up as like this really happened kind of deal.
Which did actually work.
Yeah,
like from what I've read about people going to the cinema,
like people genuinely didn't believe
they
it.
genuinely believed
I
it.
saw
and
that,
that's what made it such a horrifying experience.
Absolutely, yeah.
Which was my experience as well.
Did you go to see it when you were 5 years old?
Well, I saw it when I was quite young. I was probably a bit too young.
How old were you? Do you think?
I was probably, I don't know,
about 5,
9, 10 maybe.
Oh, that is quite young.
Yeah, so
I know, but I absolutely loved it.
It gets quite intense.
I'm
builds,
so glad I watched it thinking it was completely real. That's what
You thought it was real?
I thought it was real.
Wow.
That's what made it
He was 9.
That's why
what a fucking idiot.
That's why I have this weird relationship with it. Because it's
we can't wait to explore that across the episode.
Yeah, turns out he's actually like a witcher sexual.
I was exactly what I was going to say. He needs his partners to wear witches' hats.
I love the woods.
Yeah.
To be fair, David, we haven't mentioned yet, obviously, is a big hiker, aren't you? You're always out and about in the world.
Is this
Big
why?
old
Is this why?
He's hoping to see a little witch in the corner.
Set up camp in some pretty isolated places.
You were up
I was
somewhere.
actually trying to will on.
You had a
some weird shit happening.
week long, was it recently?
Yeah, Lake District.
Yeah, Lake District. Yeah.
Oh,
He was by yourself, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So he was,
Solo.
Did you hear any
Solo.
cracking of branches in the night?
Unfortunately not, no. There was like no
Did you bring a video
there's no
camera
trees
just
out
in
there.
case?
Yeah.
The David
I had my
Witch
DSLR.
Project.
I was ready to capture any weird shit that happened. Unfortunately, it was just the people that were weird.
Oh,
So,
okay.
so a bit like the Blair Witch Project.
yeah.
So yeah, it kind of starts with Heather, who's like making the film. She kind of films herself in her own house and is like, yeah, we're going to explore the Blair Witch.
Yeah.
And she's kind of showing all these books that she's got for like research. And she's
There's
like,
one
I've
that
read
looks
this.
pretty like old and kind of like a spell book or something. I think it's supposed to be a history of the area or something.
Yeah, because they're going to Blair, which has been renamed to Burkittsville.
Yeah. And we meet the kind of other guys, Josh and Mike.
Yeah,
don't
so
we?
we meet, is it Josh first or Mike first?
Josh first, I think, because I think she knows Josh already.
Yeah.
And Mike is the one that comes out of the house.
Yeah, and they're already running a bit late.
Yeah, but then they also have to like go and buy all their supplies that morning,
Yeah.
which seems like maybe a bit of a thing they could have done.
Yeah,
earlier.
so Mike is like brought along because he's the cameraman. Like,
yeah, I think Mike's the sound guy. I think, and
I really didn't
Josh
know
has
sound guy.
Josh has got the big camera. Quite. I don't
Right.
know.
Was it like DAT or something?
Yeah, they
DATs?
keep calling
The
it like a
DATs?
DAP or something.
Was
like
that was that sound?
I
or
think
was
that's sound because they say
Oh,
DAP
right.
and
It
then
was
they
when-
say camera as well.
Yeah, because it was the bit. Well,
Yeah, no, we'll get to that.
yeah.
We'll get to it. We'll get to it.
But yeah, it's quite
So-
like realistic. This bit, isn't it?
Yeah, like
it's-
you can breeze through it because like they go
Yeah.
pick up snacks and like basically head their way to Blair or
Yeah.
what was it?
Burkittsville.
Burkittsville. I keep going to say Bricksville.
The Burkittsville Witch Project.
The Burkittsville Witch Project. Yeah, and then they're going around Burkittsville like asking the locals about what they've heard
Yeah,
about the
yeah.
Blair Witch.
I thought that bit was good.
I thought it was good, and there was some of it they kind of lucked out on some bits of it. Like I mean I don't know if it was really luck, but like
right.
I don't know if they were kind of waiting for that kid to start crying. But when,
Oh yeah, the bit
Oh,
with the
yeah.
kid was
when she
good,
starts
wasn't it?
talking,
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
the kid puts his hand over her.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
there's a
like,
mum
oh,
with a
man.
like a
She's
baby.
Yeah, and the baby just kind of gets a bit upset. Obviously,
Because
the
she
baby
starts
didn't know.
talking about a witch. Yeah.
Yeah,
The baby
um,
goes, like David said, to
Yeah,
literally cover the mum's mouth.
Yeah.
And there's
I thought that was
also
really cool.
there's also the bit when is this bit when they do the bit in like a graveyard or something, and she's like, I don't want it to be cheesy, and then she does like a really cheesy opening
Yeah.
monologue, and it's like, oh,
Yeah,
okay.
she kind of like films like the opening scene is like in the 40s, lots of kids went missing and nobody really
It's
thought
like
anything
it's
is very,
really,
like,
really like a 90s
serious.
TV thing. Yeah, like
it's
super
like
overly
it's like an
serious.
amateur filmmaker in the 90s.
Which is quite
like,
good because when you like juxtapose that with the acting later, it's like there's clearly
There's a
like,
clear difference
that's-
between like
she's clearly doing that on
their
purpose.
filmmaking and the actual filmmaking. If you know what I mean.
Yeah,
I
like,
do. As confusing as that sentence is, yeah.
So yeah, like a lot of the locals in Burkittsville like are kind of mixed opinions. Like some of them are like, yeah, this is real. Some are like, oh, it's a myth. But there's a general consensus that it's been like handed down throughout
There's
generations.
some weird stuff has happened, yeah.
Like everyone's heard of the Blair Witch.
Yeah.
They changed the name of the town because of the Blair Witch.
I quite liked the bits I liked was the fishermen when the two guys are fishing.
Yeah.
And there's some good reactions there. And I when I was doing that brief looking on IMDb earlier, I think some of the actors they didn't realise that so the main cast didn't realise that some of them were actors. They thought they were real locals. So when they start talking about the Blair Witch, they like the reactions from the cast are real.
Oh, nice.
Because they're like, oh, I didn't realise that. Like, because they tried to kind of trick them into it. I don't know how much you know about that, David.
Yeah,
but,
As far as I'm aware, the directors kept as much alike as they could.
So they thought they were maybe going with a fake story, and then when the locals start talking about it, they're like, oh shit.
Before that though, they meet a guy who says he knows about what happened in the 40s, and he said some guy murdered like 7 kids
in the basement.
Like he'd make one. Oh my god! I've just realised the end of the film.
Really? What?
In my defence, I watched it over 2 days.
It's like an hour 20.
I know.
It was like one of the probably the shortest film we've watched so
but
far.
I had to go play football, so and then to be honest, I didn't want to finish watching it at midnight last night.
To be fair, you're not good with horror films.
Exactly. So
yeah, that's true. Anyway, you carry on with your explanation.
Yeah. So the guy says that he kidnapped kids and like he'd kill one and make the other one like stand in the corner.
He was like a hermit who had a house in the woods or whatever, isn't it? Yeah.
And
he said that he could feel their eyes like on him while he was killing the other one, so he needed them to
face the wall.
Yeah.
And then somebody else mentioned someone called Mary Brown, who's kind of seen as crazy, but has some story. And they're like, oh, that sounds like a good person to go talk to. So they go visit Mary Brown, who is a bit crazy. She said she's met the Blair Witch.
Yeah, what was it when she was younger? A weird woman turned up.
Lake.
And
she was wearing like a shawl.
And she had
like horse hair.
Loads of horse colour
like
hair.
thick hair, like head to toe.
Creepy.
And like had a strange face, but like she's a bit insane, so like you can't really tell
she starts saying a load of other stuff as well,
yeah.
doesn't she? And when they talk about it later, she says that she was also a scientist. There's loads of she said loads of stories.
Yeah.
That was the bit that we see. But
she's like
were they a bit, pissed off when they left? Was it something to do with the framing? Like they weren't happy about something?
Yeah, it might have been, yeah.
I
can't remember.
I don't really remember what they were getting pissed off about. But...
Oh no, there was a thing where the Josh was talking about, it was something to do with he measured the distances and he measured it in meters, and she was like, why did you measure it in meters? We're in America. Yeah. And this is the bit where I'm like, she's quite annoying at the start.
She's annoying throughout most of the film.
Yeah. And I think that's kind of intentional, maybe.
Yeah.
I assume it is intentional, but also maybe not, because they were doing it a lot of it kind of off the cuff. But yeah, I think they're having a disagreement about that in the car.
I guess that just kind of sets the realistic.
Yeah, because they don't know each other that well. They kind of butt heads quite quickly, and they go to a motel, I think, at that point.
Yeah, so it's kind of like the end of day one of filming, and they're just kind of chilling, having a drink and stuff, and just being like, yeah, that was a pretty good day, but tomorrow's the big day.
Yeah,
where things
into
probably
the woods.
get going.
Yeah, that's right.
We're gonna head into the woods and
the fisherman bit is after this.
Yeah, that's when they're heading into the woods that they then find. They talk to the fisherman.
Yeah.
One of them's much more of a believer than the other.
Yeah, and they say one of the guys is like, oh, kids will never learn. It's a bit like the ominous old man before you go into the harbinger.
I mean, what I kind of like about how they set the scene is that even though people some believe, some don't, they do firmly establish that the rate of child deaths was
right,
really high.
Actually,
that's people who
in the bit where she's doing the cheesy opening. That's in a graveyard, isn't it? And she points to a load of gravestones. Yeah. She says about that.
Yeah, one of these guys says there's someone called Robin Weaver in the 1800s who disappeared into the woods and came back like 3 days later and was like all scarred, like mentally.
Yeah. So that's another example there as well. And then they find out they go into the woods, don't they? Where they leave the car.
They're driving in first,
They
park
go
it
in.
up in somewhere random on the side of the road.
They usually didn't even park with like a fucking
Yeah.
landmark or anything.
They drive past like a creepy cabin on the way, and I was like, "Ooh, creepy cabin!"
They
Of
should
course,
have parked by the creepy cabin. Like,
Yeah.
so they had a fucking landmark.
And they stop off, and then they head into the woods to start hiking, and they're aiming for like a cemetery in the woods.
Yeah, but there's a whole thing. Well, they go to Coffin Rock first, which is just that rock by the woods, by the river.
Yeah.
And then where they finally get there, I think they don't have too much issues getting there.
No, and they start like filming stuff while
she's got a whole story from the book, isn't it?
Yeah, have her
reading
read
from
through the book,
Yeah.
and there's like shots of like just like grim. There's like a grim story of some like dark shots.
Yeah,
and
it's like
things
what is it?
that.
Something to do with like settlers getting disemboweled or something like that. isn't it?
Yeah, they said that like a bunch of like dead bodies were discovered. So somebody went to like the police and then brought them back, and then all the bodies had disappeared.
Oh, in like a couple of hours or something.
Yeah, and it's like ooh,
Spooky shit.
spooky shit. So it starts raining. They set up their tent.
Yeah, that's
and
right.
it's like the end of the first night. They tent up in. I was gonna start keeping track of how many nights they did, but
I think it's like 4, maybe.
I think it's
But we
more. I
can
think it's
figure-
like 5 or 6. Let's count during this. That's
1.
their first
know
night
of.
number
That
1.
we
That's
know
their
of
first
anyway.
night.
Oh, true. Yeah, we might have had some skips.
Because, well, do you remember the Blair Witch?
Oh, yeah, we can talk about that
Yeah.
afterwards. Yeah, there's a sequel.
Yeah, no,
which
it's 2
is
sequels.
actually-
Well, there's a good.
There's
sequel.
a really shit. There's a really shit sequel.
There's a
and
sequel
and
straight
actually a
after,
pretty
and
decent
there's a
sequel.
good one.
Maybe I
isn't
should
it?
watch Blair Witch.
Oh,
Actually.
It's very scary.
Oh,
It is very
really?
scary.
Oh no, it's like anyway. We'll get to it at the end. Me
Yeah.
and David went to see it together.
But yeah. So anyway, from what we see, that's like their first night in the woods. And like not really anything happens. They just got to have a bit of
In
a
the
laugh. and a
morning,
joke
Josh
in-
says that he heard noises in the night.
Yeah,
He said he heard some
he heard like cackling.
cackling, but they're just like, whatever.
Yeah, they don't really. They're like, eh. I like. It's kind of at that point established that like none of them fully believe. They kind of want to believe, but they're not
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
oh, the Blair Witch definitely exists or definitely doesn't exist.
They're still joking around. Like, he's like, "Oh, is that the Blair Witch? Oh no, it's Heather taking a piss." And she's just like in the distance.
That's kind of really weird. Like, I mean,
like,
like,
maybe
is it
don't
something-
film her, but
Yeah. And they come across like a dead mouse as well. They start hiking again. There's like a dead mouse, and it's like, okay,
yeah. Dead
Shock
mouse.
horror.
I think they say
Absolute
like,
shock
"Oh,
horror.
did the Blair Witch kill this mouse?" They're like,
yeah.
they're pretty.
And then they're like, oh, we're lost. Like Mike is like, we've got lost already.
Oh yeah, Mike gets really pissed off. doesn't he?
Yeah, and like I've written like he's pretty pissed. Just they study the map again.
Yeah, because didn't it turn out they came from off the map, and she
Like
supposedly
Heather was
knew
like,
where
oh,
the-
there's a shortcut because they wanted to go through like a certain bit. So they took like a
Yeah.
shortcut, and Mike like doesn't trust her and doesn't.
Yeah,
trust
no,
her
he
map
says
readings.
like, I gotta say, I don't fully trust you, and I'm like,
Yeah.
damn, like there's like the tensions are like
yeah.
high.
And
like what is this on the like 3rd day?
but
If you
she
don't-
says, I wrote down a couple of these lines, but she was like, "We will all look back and laugh," and I was like, "Haha, "No, you won't."
you won't. You know that. You know it's not going well. Yeah, and then she's being annoying, and she's trying to like keep control, but also keep everyone like upbeat.
Yeah.
And Josh is just like, shut the fuck up. Heather."
and she's trying to like film it all at the same
oh
time.
yeah, that gets really in people's.
Yeah, because
Yeah,
there are, like,
it got on
certain
my
points
nerves as
where
well.
she's like, just turn the fucking camera off.
Yeah.
And she's like, I want to just capture everything.
Yeah, and it's like,
There's some good stuff with that later when it kind of gets turned back on her a bit. That bit was good, but
yeah. So they cross a river, and they're like, "Oh, we're pretty close to the cemetery that we were aiming for."
yeah, is this the rocks? Is that the same? Is that
No, then they find like a weird campsite, and it's like the weird piles of rocks,
And there's the weird basket things in the trees, that, like in like a crook of a tree, and then
they're like,
loads of
oh yeah,
rocks.
Mary Brown mentioned, like,
yeah,
the
they
pile of
can't
rocks.
remember what she said because she said so much like bullshit between all the stuff she said.
I feel like David's a bit of a Mary Brown.
Do you reckon?
Yeah,
Oh, thanks.
Wasn't a compliment.
I'll take it as a compliment.
Mary Brown. Yeah, and then one of them, I think it's Josh, right? Does this track? Josh knocks over the rocks because he steps back and knocks it over.
And then Heather's like, oh no.
And then she says, oh no, and puts them back. I mean, the way that I saw it, that's why he's the first one who's affected, right?
That makes sense.
I mean, there's a clear campaign against Josh, isn't there?
Maybe the whole thing, they just wanted to get rid of Josh the whole time.
Yeah, he knocks over the stones and so they like I feel like a lot of this early bit is just kind of
it's quite hard to kind of
it's
convey.
just like they walk through the woods for a bit, they camp, they walk through the woods a bit, they camp.
But it's a good slow build up. I mean, because I've seen it before. I don't know about. Okay,
it didn't feel that long to me.
I got a bit bored in this bit. I was like, I want the witch to start like doing shit.
Yeah, fair. The one thing that I mean, we'll kind of get to it a little bit, but when stuff starts happening, I remembered quite clearly like the escalation. So although the tension worked quite well for me, still. I couldn't because it's quite memorable, like you were saying, David. Like I don't know if I was quite as young as you, but I don't know. We'll get to that when we get to that. But I did think all the kind of arguing and the getting lost and stuff, which we're kind of just getting to.
I mean that was kind of hard.
I think that was all
made
like
you feel tense.
Yeah, I think that all works really well from this bit.
Yeah,
onwards.
fair enough. Yeah, so then they set up and spend another night. It's night 2. They then have and nothing's happened yet.
Well.
Apart from knocking over the rocks, is like the only really significant thing.
Well, no, there's the tree breaking noises and they go out.
Yeah, that was the second night.
Is that a second?
Wait,
yeah. There's tree breaking noises and they go out to investigate and they're walking around and they can hear it all around.
I thought that bit was really cool.
Yeah. So like, it's all around us. Yeah, so I've written down like they woke up and said like hello, and I was like, it's because they woke up in the night.
But I thought it really implied like the noises and stuff made you think that like something big was happening and like
it's sort of like you try and picture like what's exactly is making that noise.
Is
it just someone grabbing
because
like the
way
branches
they shake around and it's coming from all around you. It's like something big must be covering that kind of area.
Either like it doesn't sound as scary, but like a Bigfoot kind of thing, or like you say like something is going around and snapping twigs. That's like more scary probably.
I saw a thing the other day that's let's introduce the theory of flat Bigfoot. It's like, you can't
so he just turns to the side.
Bigfoot's actually 2D. And he turns to the side. That's why you can't get a picture of him.
Was he like one pixel thick?
Yeah, it is like. Then they wake up in the next day, and it's raining in the morning.
Oh, it's so bleak that day, whatever it was.
Yeah, so 2 nights. They're on day 3.
I think at that point, Matt's the most on edge, isn't he?
Mike
is the most.
The guy who loves this film doesn't even remember the character.
Netflix subtitles had him as Matt and Mike.
Really?
Like for a bit, yeah.
That's so
and
weird.
Then I was like, that's gonna fuck me up for the rest of this film now.
Yeah,
they're kind of saying maybe it's people as well.
Yeah,
at this
Mike's
point.
pretty sure it's just the locals. Like
he says, "Ever seen Deliverance?" And it's like, oh yeah, because that's
I haven't, so I didn't.
It's
get
like
the reference.
isn't it like rednecks like hunt them kind of thing?
Hump them.
Yep. I mean, they might do, but they hunt them.
Right. Yeah, I think I'm aware of that actually.
It's the one with the like ding 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 ding.
That's like every redneck film ever.
There's that like scary banjo riff that you hear like when they're going through swamps and stuff. Like that's from that.
Yeah.
Anyway, very stressful.
And then they decide to go back to the car.
They're going a different way back though, which is always like, oh yeah,
that's
it's
dumb.
not gonna like.
Fuck's sake, Heather.
Yeah, because Heather explained it as they were.
Oh yes.
They were saying like they were going like A, B, and then like a B line.
So now they've
basically.
got to go back.
Yeah. So
I felt really anxious in this bit. I thought this bit was quite like.
Oh no, yeah, because then they're getting lost, and I was just like,
Mike is really.
Of course, I was kind of like I was like I'm Mike in this
Yeah,
situation.
yeah,
I'm just
totally.
like, for fuck's
It's just like, I
sake.
just want to go home. And you're
Yeah,
just
because like,
oh.
they make it clear like he's got like work the next day. Like Josh got to get back to his girlfriend. Like they have got lives outside this, which also made me think like they didn't really get much worth filming, did they? Like
No.
if that's all they had, all the time they had. That's gonna be a pretty shit documentary.
Yeah, when they were like, okay, let's go back to the car, I was like, really?
Yeah.
I was like, is that
Well,
all
Mike
they're
says
going
he
to catch?
he thought it was fully scouted, so like he thought she knew everything, and
Yeah.
it was going to be like a quick, here.
Turns
here,
out
here.
she didn't.
But even so, yeah, the amount. I mean, maybe they got footage that we don't see.
Yeah.
Because it's the black and
yeah.
white camera is the film camera that
And we only see that like twice.
Yeah, we see that in
like,
a couple
for
of
actual
like
filming bit.
scenery shots and that bit when she's reading at the river.
But
all the camcorder stuff is all just for her sake. It's not actually part of the
yeah,
film.
although I feel like it must be part of the film to some extent, otherwise they wouldn't have it. But
yeah, but also that's just like her
the
weird
set of the scene
kind
stuff
of
seems
quirk,
to be,
isn't it?
yeah. But yeah, it does see, and they mentioned that like the car's not parked on the map. Otherwise, they couldn't pick the map up.
Wait, the car isn't parked on the map.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. yeah.
Because we start.
That's a great
I
joke,
thought-
David.
I thought you were like, yeah. Okay, yeah.
But yeah.
I'm now following.
The car,
I was like, why would the car be like on the map?
but they do say like the map doesn't cover. Where
Yeah,
they
because
parked
they
the
started
car,
off it. Yeah, which is just
which is
ridiculous.
dumb.
Yeah, and they've got to return the camp. Yeah, all that stuff. Camera.
Yeah, and they've checked the map and like they're lost again, and Mike's just like walking around being like, "This is fucking bullshit."
I mean, that like stressed me out. Just like when like people just fucking scream.
Oh my God,
It's just
that
like you're just
happens
like
a
on
lot.
edge, and you're
And
just
a bit
like, you're just
later
like,
on,
come on. It's
when
like
Mike's
it's just like relax.
he's
It's
just like, help
Yeah.
us. He's just
Yeah.
screaming.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my.
There's so many bits on here. Like, obviously, this is like 99, so it's probably before a lot of these tropes got overused. There's so many bits that are like, have you never seen a horror film before? Don't do that.
Yeah, I mean, there was horror movies in the 70s and 80s, so they should have.
Yeah, they should have known better. They've seen Deliverance.
yeah, it's true. Yeah, so what do we get? More crashing in the night in this time.
Yeah, so this is night 3.
Yeah.
And that's when Mike's like, I've got work tomorrow. It's like, we need to get back. And they hear noises again. And they're like, hello. At this point, I was like, this bit's pretty scary.
Now I'm scared.
I've written down, like, scary. Because, like, up until then, I was just like, yeah, whatever. A little bit bored, but just kind of go along with it. This night 3, I was like, this is quite scary. And then they go out, and I'm like, why the fuck would you go out?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. Is that the bit when they're standing?
Oh, is that? Did they not go out in the first night?
They did a little bit, but I think in this
And
one they
then-
might go. a
But
bit
this time
further.
it's scary.
And then Matt/Mike stays in, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's like, I
It's
just don't want to
Mike,
go out, okay?
yeah,
And
it's
it's
like,
you're
yeah,
fucking
clearly
scared
scared.
yourself.
It's like, I'm not scared. I just don't want to go outside.
It's like, it's like classic, like, I'm not scared.
Yeah, I'm not scared, guys. I'm not scared. I just haven't got my shoes on.
I'm tired and cold.
We've all done it. We've been camping together.
We have actually.
in
But-
the middle of a well-lit field.
well, we
Well,
did that walk,
there was one person that got very, very scared.
and it was
Amy-
Lewis.
Oh yeah,
Amy was terrified.
Oh,
that
yeah.
was the walk, actually,
That
that
was the walk.
we've
That-
alluded
it was
to
like
on a
pitch
previous
black.
episode. I think.
yeah, and it was the bats as well.
We walked
Yeah,
back,
the bats.
bats. And there was, to
Bats
be
are
fair, there was that bit after we were all pissing, and there was that
What,
noise.
we could hear the noise. Yeah.
It was like, whoo!
Oh,
but it
yeah.
wasn't. It was less like an owl. It was more like a weird.
Like it sounded like a man.
Oh,
A
the Blair
creepy
man.
The Blair man. This is Tony Blair. Hello.
The Blair Wizard.
Education.
It would be the Blair
Yeah, the Blair Wizard
The
doesn't
Blair
sound
Wizard
quite as
versus the Blair-
scary.
no,
does
the
it?
Blair Wizard just sounds like a very kind.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. Like
old-
wizards, like historically, kind of like more like Harry Potter, magical.
Is it
Merlin,
witch-
but witches are
I
like
think it's
evil.
like
witches
New
and
England.
warlocks.
Oh yeah,
I don't know what.
Well,
What's the theme?
witches are like inherently
evil.
evil. Like that's because it was a
Yeah.
very
Except
like
in Harry Potter.
justifying witches to like kill women. Back
It's
then.
Yeah,
also
well, yeah,
partly a
absolutely.
sexist
Centuries
thing.
ago.
Yeah,
exactly,
just
yeah.
just
Yeah.
as David says. Yeah.
So yeah, that's night 3.
Yeah.
They wake up and now there's 3 piles of rocks
That's
around
right,
the
yeah.
tent.
That's the first thing that's like a concrete,
Like
not no pun intended, concrete evidence of.
concrete's not made of rocks.
No, I know, but they could have been concrete. So
Yeah.
Fuck you, Lewis.
And
Yes,
yeah,
and
because they weren't there before, they're like, someone's put these here.
and they're all like, "Oh, did we camp in the middle of these rocks?" And they're like, "No, we didn't
Obviously
fucking camp in the
not.
middle of these three piles of rocks."
Yeah, and then they're like, all right, let's get going. And the map is missing. Like, oh my God. And Heather's getting like really pissed
The
off.
map is missing. Yeah.
They're getting pissed off with
She
Heather.
lost it.
They're getting pissed off with Heather because they're like, you had the map, we gave you the map. Like,
Yeah,
and she's like, I don't have the map. Like,
yeah, and she's getting stressed out.
It's like,
It's,
if you
but it's
need to-
only Josh at this point, isn't it, having to go at her? Or is
No, they're both.
I think
Matt-
they both are, which is weird.
oh,
Mike.
what is it, Mike?
Mike.
For God's sake.
But
They're
then
both like
there's
having a go.
but there's quite a long bit
I'm just
before we
calling it
find
M.
out what
Yeah.
happens. And there's bits where they're laughing about how ridiculous it is, and she's like, "That's not funny, haha." Like,
Yeah.
then is that the bit where she's got wet
That's a
shoes?
bit later
and there-
on.
But there is a
Yeah,
bit
no,
here.
Yeah,
And she's like, "Have you got it? I'd rather just know if you've got it or not."
Yeah.
Oh, so there must be another.
No, so this is that next bit. So like they're laughing, but then they oh no, they're not laughing, but they take going and they're like, people are going to notice if we're not back. Like if we're not back by
it's like
tonight,
this bit,
they'll
yeah.
send people out to find us. So like, don't worry. Like it's not the end of the world.
Yeah, and he's like, "My girlfriend's gonna notice." Josh
yeah.
says.
And then they cross the river and Heather gets wet, and that's when Mike starts laughing.
Oh, is that
And
it?
she's
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Mike, this is the first time I've heard you laugh the whole time we've been doing this. And he's just like, huh, what a foot. But
Yeah, and then he has a bit of a weird like breakdown, doesn't he? And he's
Yeah,
kind of admits.
I think
not-
that's
he's
a bit
not-
later
Oh,
on.
it might be a bit late. There's quite a lot of them just walking
that
around.
is kind of that bit
but-
like she's pissed off, and he's like, "Yeah, I kicked the map into the creek," and he's like laughing, and Josh and Heather are like super pissed off. He was
Like-
like, the map was useless, so like,
And she's like, "But I was using it." Like
Yeah.
he's like, "Just because
I was like, Mike, you're a fucking dick. Like even if
yeah, I
you
mean,
weren't
that's a
using
dick
it,
move,
like why the fuck you've gone out your way to like do that?
yeah, and it just fucks them. Like, I mean,
I mean,
they were
there's-
already clearly there's something going on with them not being able to find their way, right?
Yeah,
Like, it's not
I think
just
it's,
a map.
they've got a very
Yeah.
like warped perception. That's kind of how I
Right,
see
yeah,
it.
but I was thinking like
It's
it
like-
seems because the whole thing of walking in the same direction and stuff, like they can't have been that wrong. Like something
Yeah.
something spooky's going on.
Oh
sure.
yeah, like
Yeah.
warped perception because of
Yeah,
like,
because of the
you know,
magical
spooky.
stuff that's
Yeah.
going on. Yeah.
dark magic.
and they come across like that area where they've like, oh, come look at this, and there's a bunch of like hanging twigs that are like in the shape of people,
Yeah.
which is the logo for
Yes,
the film, isn't
yeah,
it?
the little stick men, and
And
there's
it's
loads
like-
of them of different sizes, and one's got all like the bits that look like the fur almost from the
Yeah.
story.
There's
The
one like
main-
really big one,
like a meter or something long. Yeah.
yeah, but some of them are like, and there's like loads of them. Like I imagine
Yeah.
when they're making this film, they spent ages making them.
Yeah,
For sure.
yeah. You know what would be good? I think we probably both all talked about this at different times, but making them and putting them up somewhere would be great. When we go out camping,
Yeah.
just put them up somewhere, or like in
They're
Preston
pretty-
Park. Or
They're
something.
pretty easy to make.
That's what I mean.
aren't
You
they?
pre-make them before you go and just have them in your bag, and then just like hang them up places. That would be good fun. Like,
Yeah, if you say so.
Yeah, we can try that. Sure.
yeah, we'll do that.
yeah.
We'll do that when Lewis doesn't know that we've done it.
Oh, yeah.
We'll run out and put them.
Yeah,
We'll
and
get-
We'll get
this,
some rocks in the campsite.
Mike's like panicking, and he's like screaming like help, help.
Yeah, this is really like bleak and stressful.
Yeah, and like I was getting kind of stressed at this point, and I'm just like,
He's so
I-
desperate. Like,
and I was
yeah.
like, if I was in this situation, I'd be so pissed off. Like,
Yeah.
I think it would just be total fear for me.
total.
Yeah.
I think fear would just undo any anger. I think it's been like, oh my god, just
Well, they
just
go
like dark
through.
magic just surrounding me.
But they don't seem to. I mean,
they
yeah.
don't fully believe.
But once
yet.
they see the twigs, I think they
I
kind
think
of.
they're just,
it kind of
they're
twigs.
just like confused. It's just like they just don't know what the hell's going on. It's like, they
Yeah,
don't know what
and there's
to
a
believe.
they want to
It's-
get out of that before the screaming bit. I think she's still filming the stuff.
Yeah, and they're like, get out.
They're like,
get
just
out.
hurry up, and she's just like, yeah, I just need to film a bit more. They're like, just
At
come
this
on.
point, they're like, we don't give a shit about the film. Like, we want to go home.
Yeah, I think this
Like,
is when they start getting like more pissed off with her
Yeah.
filming everything, isn't it?
And
Yeah.
then not long after that, they then decide to set up tent again for night 4. But they decide no fire this time because last night was a bit creepy.
yes,
We'll
but
just keep it.
they have an
keep-
even creepier night.
Yeah, they hear something.
They
and,
hear like laughing kids.
It's-
Yeah,
yeah, it's
so as a kid watching this was like the peak fear moment for me.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, this bit is
Yeah.
like the probably intensity.
Yeah, this is the most, because like so we're now 45 minutes into the film, so just over halfway,
Right.
and it's all like hitting on the side of the tent.
Yeah,
isn't
the
it?
tent just starts getting
It's
shaken.
shaking.
Like
It looks
crazy.
like somebody's like going around hitting the outside, and they're like shitting themselves, and like it is pretty
Yeah,
scary at
yeah.
that point.
Yeah.
and they all just leg it out of the tent, don't they?
Yeah, they just run.
Is that one of the things that you were like, the tropes that you were saying earlier on? Like, why would you do that? Why would you go out? Or do you think that's totally
kind of,
justified?
but like they do then just like sprint off in the dark into the woods.
But
and it's
somehow
like-
they all stay together as well. I was quite
Yeah.
surprised about that. I mean, I guess they're all just following each other. At one point, I think Mike goes ahead and she doesn't know if she's caught up with him.
Yeah.
But it's quite hard to see. Is that the
Yeah.
bit when she...
Yes, the bit where Heather's like, "What the hell is that?
Yeah,
Like,
and-
what is that? What is that?"
Yeah,
and it's like we never.
she looks to her side and gets creeped out by something,
Yeah,
but we
yeah.
never see what it is.
Well, apparently, on IMDb, there was they had an actress dressed as the Blair Witch.
Really?
And the cameraman didn't turn to look at it. And then they didn't
Oh.
retake the scene because it was all done in one thing.
Which to be honest, like works. Like
Which
that-
is like,
that
so
works
yeah, it's
Yeah.
great. Like, because
I think
you
it's
just fill in
kind
the
of-
blanks. With,
I think-
with
I think it was around this point as well because I was a little bit scared.
a little bit scared.
I googled the Blair Witch. I was like, I kind of want to know if you actually see it, so I can anticipate it
Okay,
when
yeah,
it inevitably jumps out at me. And then there was like nothing. I was like, I guess you don't actually
Guess
see
you don't.
anything.
Which I think. I mean, like,
I think it
like
works.
I,
Oh,
said,
yeah,
I
totally.
I
It kind
think
of
it's fine
like-
because the image of the Blair Witch that I have is just this kind of like Slender Man-esque
yeah.
thing. I for some reason I just imagine.
For some
like,
reason,
really, like,
I was
thin and
picturing
long.
like the girl from The Ring the whole time.
I think that's more what they had in the film. It said a woman in a white shawl or something. Woman in a white gown in the distance. The cameraman forgot to pan to left and the scene was not reshot. Who knows?
Yeah.
I mean, that's from IMDb. It might not be
Yeah.
true, but
But yeah, I think it almost kind of set the precedent of like, don't show the monster. I mean, it didn't,
no,
but it
no,
kind
yeah.
of like
It-
became like a
it-
big thing of like, just don't show the monster. You don't need
Yeah,
to show
yeah,
the monster
totally, yeah.
for it to be scary.
I think when I was younger, I remember feeling a little bit like, I kind of wish that we had seen a
Yeah.
bit more.
But like David said, it kind of leads it to your imagination, which
Definitely,
is
yeah.
more
Yeah,
scary
yeah.
than anything they could have actually put on the. Like if it is just the girl of the ring, you'd be like, oh, it's just the girl from the ring. Whereas like,
Unless you hadn't seen The Ring.
yeah, I mean, I haven't seen the ring, but I know what the girl from the ring looks like.
Yeah.
But like,
no,
if
that-
it's just left to your own mind, then it can be whatever.
definitely, yeah.
whatever you want it to
I think
be.
I do think
could-
it definitely works.
It could
that
be
way.
David.
And the reaction that she
Why
has.
do you think I do all these solo hikes?
He wears a
The
white
best
shawl
bit,
and
just freaking out.
runs
Solo
around.
campers.
Scaring like amateur filmmakers.
and the I know the reaction from Heather when she's like, "What the fuck is that?" is like very like.
So when they say that the
realistic.
cameraman
Yeah.
forgot to pan to the left, do you reckon?
So maybe they had different people,
Well,
but
the thing is, because I wonder if that was something that they knew they were going to see when they were running, and it was just a case of the cameraman just being like,
what the fuck is that, and just carried on.
yeah, just
running.
being like, fuck. Like,
And
I'm
maybe
actually,
thought
like, a
they was
little
going to
bit
come back
freaked
again
out.
later or something. But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, one of the things I was just
To be
scrolling
fair,
past
like-
there said that they had an outline of the mythology and the plot, but not the actual events of what was going to happen, which I think you
Right.
mentioned earlier,
Yeah.
David. So yeah, maybe they had no idea they were supposed to turn to it, and the cameraman is it's one of the three, and they don't know which one
Yeah.
of them it was. But yeah, who knows, yeah.
To be fair, like if I was sprinting through the woods, I probably wouldn't want to like look into a camera and turn it left because like you're bound to trip over and hurt
Yeah.
yourself.
It was like pitch black as well.
Yeah.
So
That's why I was amazed that like none of them did the classic like fall over and like oh
which is good. 'Cause
Yeah.
it would've been like,
Yeah.
come on, trope.
they didn't
Down,
do all
down.
the tropes. So that's night 4, isn't it?
Yeah, and they all end up running to somewhere, and they crouch down and they turn the lights off,
Yeah.
and then they wait there until it
They
gets
wait
light.
there and then the sun comes up and they go back to the tent,
Yeah.
which I was kind of surprised they managed to find the tent because they just kind of sprinted off for like ages.
Yeah, I think they probably ran in a somewhat.
Yeah,
straight
but
line.
like going in a straight line doesn't always work out for them.
We'll find out.
But yeah, anyway, they get back and one of the packs is missing. I think it's Josh's pack.
Well, it's not missing, but it's been fucked up with. I think.
I thought it was missing.
I think it was missing from the tent, and it was
right.
There's like blue.
There's like weird jelly stuff.
There's like goo.
He says,
and he's like, "Why is it on
slime.
my shirt?" He's like, "Why is it just me?"
Yeah, and this is what I was saying. I think it's because he knocked over the thing.
Yeah,
so he like disturbed the grave site or
first
whatever.
one, but
which means that they were only ever after him at that point. The witches or the witch, whatever.
Yeah, I guess. Oh.
And maybe, I mean, theoretically, if they'd separated and left him there, they might have been able to get out.
Do you think? I reckon once you're in, and you're not getting back out.
See, the thing is, I
suppose the rest, like Mary Brown and stuff, like she saw the Blair Witch and managed.
That's what I mean.
escape.
Yeah, and
so did she though?
But the other girl, Sydney, whatever, she escaped after 3 days as well.
Yeah. I guess.
But also,
I suppose,
why is the witch so fucking picky about her rocks? Like, get over it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Like, is she going to spend like a year like chasing after the wind that blew her rocks over?
It's because she doesn't have a hobby, I think.
I mean, it would be pretty boring, just like living in the woods with no friends.
Roaming around.
So we don't find out anything about the witch other than those bits at the start, do we?
That's it.
No.
That's like the only lore.
Is there more stuff in the other one? Do you remember?
Yeah, because there's this guy that like picks up the research.
Because we find out about the stick. Yeah.
And
Don't
so
worry. We'll talk about it.
I don't really,
because I don't want to. I keep thinking about bits from that, even the stuff about the woods and stuff.
I know. There was.
They build on it quite well.
There was a couple of things that happened in the Blair Witch that I was like, does this happen in the Blair Witch Project or is it the Blair Witch? And there were a couple of things I had to differentiate.
Really annoying that they titled it Blair Witch.
Yeah, because we can't do it. This is kind of the only opportunity you ever have.
No, because like it's like you Google Blair Witch and like you want to find the original burnt condom.
I was trying to think of a way that we could get away with doing it for this.
The Blair Witch Project 2, the sequel to Blair 2 Witch.
Well, you can watch what's the actual second Blair Witch film called?
That's just called the Blair Witch Project 2, I think.
Well, then
it's not. It's called.
So I was going to say, you could kind of slip the Blair Witch into it and then you can watch that as well.
You like to slip into the Blair Witch, don't you?
Oh, yeah, I do.
Book of Shadows, Blair Witch 2. So it's not even got project in the name anyway.
I guess we won't have to watch it.
Terrible.
Anyway, let's get back on track.
We're just getting to the kind of... This film looks really emo, this Book of Shadows.
Apparently it's shit. Mike is really pissed off that Heather's still filming because like shit's going down. And he tries to like forcibly take the camera off her.
And he's like, it's like filtered reality.
Yeah.
And that was a good bit. Is that the bit where he... No, that's a little bit later. No, don't worry. There's a bit when he has a go at her. It's really good.
They cross like a little stream again. And Heather's like, if I don't cross a stream on top of a log one more time, I'll die happy. And I was like, I'm pretty sure she doesn't. She doesn't die happy.
Yeah,
and there's another one that I was like, oh, you can see that coming.
There's something about America. She's like, oh no, there's Josh is crying and he's got jelly all over his stuff.
Yeah,
and he's off camera.
Is that the bit you're talking about where she's like, you can't get lost in America?
Yeah, well, that's the next bit. But before that, we've got Josh is crying in the background somewhere, and Mike's like, don't film him, he's upset. And he's like, I've got jelly all on my stuff. Have you got any cigarettes? And they're like, we ran out of cigarettes. And he's just like,
great.
And then there's the America bit, where she's like, we can't get lost in America. Like, we've destroyed all our natural stuff. And then they all just start singing the national anthem.
Yeah, but they're all kind of like singing it kind of sadly.
Well, I don't think she is. She's just like pissed off. And they're just taking the piss and like, America.
Yeah, that's how the national anthem goes.
America is like one of the vastest countries.
Yeah,
some parts of it are one of the most like vast.
And like if you
like of the world.
Go down to like New Mexico and like Arizona, you can definitely get lost and never be found.
Oh well, even like
I mean, pretty much
like
anywhere that
isn't
like the west and east coast as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
I mean, she's trying to be positive.
And at this point, also I've written Heather is annoying with her constant filming. Like, I know it's the film, but like shit's going down. They're all terrified, and she's just filming them the whole time. If I was with her, I'd be like, "Fuck off, Heather! Like, I want to get home."
There are some bits where I think films like Monster Project do it slightly better by finding excuses to do it,
like
or even have the
GoPros
camera GoPros, or having the camera like pointed down for an argument, so you just hear it. Because there's a couple of tense moments in this where she's got it up to them, and understandably they do react to it, but it's still a bit like,
I think
there's also bits where like she's arguing and like having a go at someone whilst pointing the camera in their face, and it's like, put the camera down for like a second, or no, like like, are you just gonna be annoying?
I mean, I think that it was important having that kind of like really strong reaction, because it kept like emotions high, and it kept you kind of
true,
but then at the same time, I think maybe if the two guys hadn't reacted as strongly to the camera being in the face, then she wouldn't have come off as annoying.
Yeah, I think there's
so like maybe there was.
But
like
I feel like at the same time I'd be like, "Why the fuck are you still filming this?"
Yeah, I think that there's a fine line, and I think it treads it quite well, but maybe it could have been pulled back a little bit, but who knows?
But yeah, like this is when they come across the big log crossing again.
Yeah, they get to the same
and
log.
They're like, we're walking in circles. It's like we've just been walking south the whole time using the compass.
That's like creepy.
Yeah, that's, and she's like, it's not the same log, it's not the same log, and then she's like, it's the same log.
Yeah, that was quite funny.
But it was quite good. Yeah, and I think that was one of the things. I don't know if I've got it in front of me here, but around 53 minutes on IMDb, it says the reactions are supposedly genuine because they didn't realize they'd walked that way, which doesn't quite make sense because I think they had walkie-talkies to kind of direct them. But maybe part of it, maybe they've been directed around, maybe they didn't really have a compass.
I mean, the thing is, I've seen kind of like trails of people who have been told to walk straight in a place where they've got no sense of really whether they are walking straight, and they actually like most people do basically do.
You end up doing a circle.
Oh really?
Just end up going like round.
Like if you try and walk in a straight line in like a massive field, you'll end up like curving. Like people always do it in deserts. Like people end up walking around in circles and circles.
Yeah, and they're just totally convinced they're just going straight.
But the thing is, I mean, that's why I say that there's something magical going on, which obviously is the case in this. But if they had compasses that were telling them where they were going, you can just adjust your course, you know?
Yeah, well, actually, I mean, Heather does say they are still just going north.
She said
I think
they're going south.
Is it south? Yeah, so they are using the compass.
That's what I mean. So the compass is wrong.
Yeah, that could have been. Yeah,
maybe it's like some weird magnetic thing that's turning them.
Yeah. Well, there's definitely. I think that, and I think you were kind of saying about it earlier, David. I think you could view it as the arguments between them could be brought on by some sort of forces as well, because Mike kicking the thing in the lake is a weird out of character thing, and he seems to not even know why he's done it.
Because Josh kind of has like a crazy breakdown.
I mean, they really go up and down.
Yeah,
and it's realistic, but it's quite quick on set. Do you know what I mean?
I did think there was more at hand here, and like they're affecting their mental state.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think that's what David was kind of.
Yeah. At this point as well, like they're like, oh, they're getting really upset because they don't know what to do, and I'm like, right, two easy solutions here. Like you've walked south, you got lost. You're at a river, just walk downstream. Just follow.
Yeah,
you can't go in a circle if you're just walking downstream.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure. Don't they start to do that? Because they say like, oh, like
no, they then decide to just walk east.
But aren't they following the creek at one point?
I think they just follow the compass the whole time.
Heather's like Josh has said to follow the creek, and they start following the creek.
There was a bit at one point where they said, "I thought we agreed to follow the creek," and that's the bit when it cuts to them all. The two guys are just like sitting in the field, and they're all just suddenly stopped. Okay. And she's like, "Why are we stopped? I thought we were following the creek." I think, and maybe it's not that bit, but. There's a bit when she's saying, I thought we agreed to it. And I think everyone's just ignoring her at that point. So I think they just do something else.
I was just like, if you just walk down the stream, set up camp next to the stream, carry on walking down the stream, then you'll get out. Like,
yeah.
And then the other thing I was thinking, like climb one of the trees and like
I also thought that as well. But then I was looking at the trees and like the branches get really thin. Like the further out
but
they
you
go.
can
So
like
I don't think they'd have been able
I think
to get
if
above
things
the
are
tree
that
line.
desperate, you could probably find like a fairly decent tree to go up and have a look around.
Yeah.
Like, I think it's an option.
I'm sure it's not.
But they don't really consider that, or
but also
I
think if you think about the fact that they before things start going wrong, they walk at least a day.
Yeah,
that's a long distance. If you're walking 12 hours, so getting up on a tree, if you're just gonna see forest, maybe it's not that helpful, really.
But you might see something.
I mean, you might see something, but at the same time, I think
when they're at a point where they've got no other options, they've been walking.
They're also really.
They're
also knackered, and
I do kind of keep on going back to them just being like really fucked up in the head. Just like there's something that has just happened that just stops them thinking in a logical way.
Yeah, fair
which
enough.
I know is a bit of like a.
Yeah, no,
like,
it's true.
I forget what the term is, like
a bit of a cop out.
Yeah, just like something that explains potential plot holes a little bit easily.
No. I mean, that's fine. It's a reading.
Like very quickly again, going forward to
the
Blair Witch. Like that kind of taps into that thing a whole lot more.
Absolutely, yeah.
It's like people literally experience time differently.
Yeah, they do,
which I thought was really cool.
And they kind of. It's not explicitly said either, but they're clearly driven a little bit. There's the other two that go off,
like, because basically after the first night in the film, those other guys come back and it's been like 5 nights.
And don't. So good. Anyway. This is the bit when Josh has the camera on Heather and she's
Josh is like being a dick.
And he's like fully. I've got Josh berates Heather and he's like. Show us some action. Like, what's your inspiration? Is there's a witch after you? You've disturbed her trinkets, and she's trying to get you. And he's just like, keeps going. She just starts crying, and Mike's just like, leave her alone. And then he just carries on, and she's just weeping, and it's just like,
Josh is like,
I thought it was so good though. Like both of them, like the acting from her was good stuff, and it's just like they're really at each other, and it's just and it's kind of satisfying as well because it's the other side. She's getting the Heather treatment. Do you know what I mean?
They're all like turning each other kind of at different points. So sometimes they get on other times.
Well, the next bit they're all friends again when they're talking about food. It really is like real ups and downs.
Yeah, so then they set up the tent again for night 5, and this is where I had to pause it and go out. So today I watched from here to the end
because this is when they've all made amends, and it seems like they just run out of like steam as well, don't they? They're like they don't have the energy to like
exhaust. I think one of them says I'm too knackered to fight. Like I don't want to shout it.
And I don't know they brought rice and stuff, but I don't know how much they've been eating.
One of them says they got a cheeseburger as well. At this point.
But that's just. I think they're talking about. They're talking about food.
Okay. I thought he had just like.
That'd be a manky cheeseburger.
Don't know. At one point they do like have some food, and I'm like, you've been out there like 3 days. Like that's gonna be dodgy.
Well, yeah, they bought rice at the start. Anyway, they're talking about food they want, and he says he wants a cheeseburger, and then he says, I've got a cheeseburger, and they're like, okay. And then they're talking about their mum's mashed potatoes and stuff.
Yeah.
And then they have a very calm night.
Like nothing happens in the night this time. This is night 5, and like they wake up and like, like everything's fine and normal, except Josh isn't there.
Josh is gone.
And they're like, where's Josh? And again, I've written here, why are you still filming? Like your friend's now missing in the woods, in the creepy woods. Why are you filming all this? Like, have some kind of respect. And they've gone like they're screaming around looking for Josh, and like he's just disappeared. Like his stuff's still there, but he's just gone.
Yeah. And they do a bit of a search, and I think they decide that they're just gonna
go east.
Well, before that, they decide they're gonna pack down the tent.
They start
and hope that he's gonna come back to them.
Is that when they start messing around with all the stuff on the floor?
Maybe. Oh, what the bundle stuff? No, that's the next night. They get the bundle there.
Yeah.
But they joke like, which was worse, the Wicked Witch of the East or the West?
Yeah.
And she's like, the West is worse. We'll go east.
Let's go east.
And they talk about food again, and they're just like,
nothing really happens much that day. It's quickly like evening again.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it would be like night 6 at least.
And then it's night 6, and they like hear noises in the night, and they're like,
this one's
Josh,
really creepy.
And you can kind of hear his voice in the distance.
And he's just like screaming as well.
He's like, help, help.
Yeah.
And they're like, ooh.
Yeah, and they call to him and he doesn't call back initially.
Yeah, they kind of step out and like shout, like, where are you, Josh? Where are you?
That was a brilliant scene.
Oh, when Mike's like, tell me where you are, Josh.
Yeah.
And then you just hear him like, like as if he's like screaming in pain in the distance.
But you can't really see anything.
No, not at all. Made me think of, we talked about skinwalkers on Monster Project.
Oh, yeah,
much about skinwalkers? It's like a Native American, I think it's Navajo thing, where kind of like witches or warlocks or whatever that like they pretend to be someone else to like lure you out kind of thing. And I feel like that's kind of vaguely based on that because they like still like mimicking voices and stuff. I
very much got the impression that wait, was it?
Josh.
I'm going to say Matt again.
Josh.
That's Josh.
I very much got the impression that Josh wasn't like all there sort of thing. Like you could hear him and stuff, but it was very much like
we don't ever see him at all.
I was under the impression that Josh is already dead at this point and something else is like impersonating his voice.
Yeah. Well, it's even like, what is it, Annihilation, the bear?
Annihilation, that's what I was going to say.
Yeah,
kind of that sort of thing. Maybe it's the Annihilation bear in the woods.
Well, explain the branches, the big bear knocking over the trees.
That's a weird.
Oh bear. Yeah, it's creepy though. Yeah, just Mike is so good, and he's just like, "Tell me where you are." He's like, he's like almost crying. It's like fuck, and they end up going back okay, don't they? And
so that's night 6, and they wake up, and there's like a weird bundle of sticks. Heather finds a weird bundle of sticks that seem to be tied up in like.
It's Josh's shirt.
Yeah,
it's like
she doesn't really mention it's Josh's shirt.
No, because we've seen him wear this like flannel checkered shirt thing the whole time, haven't we?
And like
it's so bleak. Like I keep saying this, but like this part, they're just kind of like
it's literally like, what else can they fucking do?
Yeah,
it's like they surely at that point they're
just kind of
accepted their fate. Like they can't escape this like existential.
No, it's really, especially when you don't see it. Like you were saying, Dave,
it's just some like Lovecraft.
Yeah, it's really like
it's just inescapable.
So she goes and like throws away this bundle of sticks.
She kind of kicks it away to the side. Or she does chuck it, doesn't she?
Yeah.
And she says something like, "We don't want your." Like whatever, and she like makes a big fuss about it.
Yeah,
but then she goes back later, doesn't she?
And like unties it.
And I don't know what. So she finds a bloody thing made of the shirt.
Yeah, so the shirt's wrapped in the middle, and she opens it, and there's like blood.
What is it? Is it the tongue?
I don't know. I thought it was like fingers at first.
It's some sort of pinkish thing.
As a kid, I thought, I don't know, for some reason I thought it was like an internal organ, like a bit of like a liver or a kidney. But I think it might be the tongue. Like, having watched it this time, like when it was getting to that scene, I was like,
my first one was fingers, but I was like, it's way too small to be like fingers.
And it also looks a bit like maybe eyes as well. Like there's a couple of little bits together, but it's some sort of like gizzards and guts, and I'm looking on the.
It sounds grim, and like it really, really upsets Heather. Like she's like crying and like.
Okay, on Wikipedia, I don't know who wrote this, but it says. Blood-soaked scrap of his shirt containing teeth, hair, a finger, and a large piece of a tongue. So we're
all right. Hey, look at us.
That's wholesome.
Oh yeah, and although distraught, she does not tell Mike. So she like breaks down, doesn't she?
I didn't even realize that she didn't tell
No,
Mike.
because she's crying and putting her bag on, and he's filming her.
He's like, "You okay?" And she's like, "I'm just tired."
And she's like, "I'm just tired. We're gonna be fine. It's fine. I didn't see anything." Like, that's why he's so like chill about it. And she's like.
They then like carry on walking, and then it's night again.
Yeah,
night 7.
And do they not camp?
So they've been there like a week. No, they do camp.
But what she felt, but it almost cuts immediately to her doing her filming thing, and she's outside.
No, they're in the tent.
No, she's outside when that happens, isn't it?
I wasn't actually paying attention at this point.
No, because I remember thinking like.
But she's looking at something, isn't she? No.
I thought they'd lost their tent.
Yeah.
but they're in the tent.
Okay, right.
So I remember thinking, I thought they lost the tent, but the tent's right there.
So I thought she's outside in that part, but who knows?
Maybe.
I thought she was outside because anyway, it's the bit that it was on posters. It's the Blair Witch moment that we've joked about in other episodes.
Yeah.
The flashlight in the face on the camcorder.
You're like, I'm
sorry.
When it got to that scene, I was just like,
and
it just like resonates with me so much because like, having just like seen that still, like
it's like an iconic.
It's like the poster,
thing,
and they used that bit in the trailer.
Yes,
which we watched before. It's like the only bit really from the film that's in the trailer.
We don't see the face, do we? In that,
no, you just hear the voice.
Because she's saying sorry. It was sorry to the mums of Mike and Josh.
Fuck your dads.
Fuck your dads. She's like, it's my fault. I wanted to do all this.
Yeah, she was like, it's my plan. I decided to do this. I decided to do that. I decided to do that, and it's led us here.
And she kind of admits, like, I didn't plan it out properly. I was being naive.
Yeah,
and they're like, okay, this is like kind of the redemption for Heather a little bit because she's like,
and like she hears like noises, and then she's got like a really snotty nose.
Yeah, but this is why I thought she could see something because she literally. I think she might stares off to the like. Right.
I think she might be doing this just outside the tent.
Yeah, because she stares off and she's like. She says, I'm scared to close my eyes. I'm scared to open them. I'm going to die out here. And I was like, this is very intense. Like, I thought that was, even though I knew it was coming, like, not those words specifically, I thought just
it's kind of the,
is like,
it's one of those, it's like, you know you're going to die, but you're just so terrified to do anything about it.
Yeah.
It's sort of like she's finally saying what we've sort of known for like a long
absolutely.
time at that point.
And she kind of becomes, she moves past the being annoying character and moves into like, you're kind of accepting it, and you can kind of empathize a bit more as well because she's just fucking shitting herself, and just the intensity of like her expression and everything. Like, you fully buy that she can see, but I don't think she can necessarily see something, but she's just looking, kind of staring off into the darkness, and it's just like, whoo, good stuff. So and then how do they get from there to the next place?
Then? So they hear calling out again, calling for help. So they decide to go. The two of them decide to go follow the noise.
That's right, yeah.
And like they're shouting out again, and then they come across like a big house, like just in the middle of the woods.
Yeah, it's like it's bigger than I remembered.
It's like 3 floors plus a basement.
That's right. Yeah, it's massive.
So it's kind of like the Monster Project house.
yeah. Maybe not quite. That's more of a mansion-y kind of. But it's pretty,
and like it's really kind of weird because it's just like a normal house, but like in the middle of the woods, and like it's all like boarded up and
like kind of trashed inside. And
stuff.
And they go upstairs first, don't they? And
they go in and like look around, and then they hear Josh upstairs, which is why I think it's the whole like Josh is already dead and something else is making noise.
Definitely,
so Mike leads away because he's like, she keeps like losing Mike, and she's like, Mike, where are you? And he's like, I'm here. Like,
it's good. Yeah,
and like they're desperately trying to find Josh. And he like
they go upstairs first, and there's all the like children's bloody handprints.
Yeah, which you actually see a flash of in the trailer. But like, all the walls are like hand paintings, but like black, and there's like thousands.
Oh, and there's weird like runes, like Nordic and like other runes on one bit when they go. That might be a bit later when they go downstairs. There's it's like a weird old haunted house, which we're to assume is the guy's house, right? The murderer.
I guess so. Yeah,
the guy who lived in the forest and all that. Yeah,
because it kind of matches
the basement
up
and stuff, which you realised about an hour ago.
I think it's partly because I thought Blair Witch. I was imagining like a woman doing all this, and that story before was just kind of like an excuse as why the kids were dying.
Yes, well, I think based on the sequel, at least, it's kind of like. The Blair Witch makes you do stuff,
right?
So I think that's kind of the reading. That's how I view this now, anyway.
Yeah,
which is why also like them arguing and maybe even Josh calling out to them. He might be either under the influence of it or it's like shapeshifted to be. Whatever. But and they end up going down to the basement.
And like Mike runs ahead.
Yeah, I was a bit confused about who we were following at that point. I don't know if that was just me, but
no, it did switch quite a lot between the two cameras.
The difference is that Heather's got the black and white camera and Mike's got the coloured camera.
Yeah.
That's how you can tell the difference.
Yeah, but still, yeah.
I don't think I was.
And then Mike's like, Josh, tell me where you are again. And then he goes down and then just gets like knocked
Like
over.
the camera just falls to the floor and like it's just silent. And you're like, I literally wrote, Mike got. And then like
Heather's like
Heather's
hyperventilating.
Yeah, and like chases after.
So she's going quite slowly.
You know the bit where she's just like screams over and over again. She's just like screaming so loud, so high.
Yeah.
I was like, I'd always kind of thought, is that Heather? Like, but before she picks up the camera and gets closer to it, I was like, is that like the Blair Witch making that noise? Because it was such a weird
I
sound.
thought that, like when she's going around the house like screaming, I was like, she's making the creepy noises now. Like,
yeah,
I think she's supposed to just be like so scared.
Yeah,
so I was like, it just didn't sound like human
around the house.
But it's like it's so high pitched.
It didn't sound human.
Yeah, but she does. Yeah, when there's earlier bits when she's like panicking and she's like,
yeah,
just like that.
Exactly.
Just thinking like, I'm actually a little bit scared.
No, I'm scared
right now. Yeah, so like she then goes down to the basement, turns around the corner, and Mike is standing there in the corner facing the wall. And I was like, oh.
The foreshadowing has occurred.
And then her camera just drops to the floor.
And that's it.
And credits.
Yep.
Roll credits.
And that is the Blair Witch
Project.
Any other trivia that anyone wants to add at all? Any bits, David or Lewis, that you thought of?
I didn't think of trivia, but I know there was like that big like media campaign and stuff.
Yeah, we
about,
kind
like,
of
it being
touched on at the
true
start.
and things like that. You guys probably know more than me because you've seen it before and seen the sequel.
Yeah, David, what do you know about that?
What about how
they marketed it and stuff like that?
I mean, I suppose I kind of have read about that from the perspective of the cinema goers on like quite a few threads, because the internet, I know that they had like www.blairwitch.com, which I'm intrigued if that is still.
Yeah, I'll have a look while you're talking.
It might have been like repurposed to the new one.
Yeah, true, but I'm assuming that kind of made it appear as a thing that actually happened. Like, I don't think there was a lot of information about the production that went into it.
Yeah,
it doesn't work the website anymore. It doesn't work.
Because it was kind of the kind of dawn of the internet. Like, the resources just weren't really there for people to like verify.
You kind of hear about something, you can't look it up.
Exactly, and that's kind of why, you know, as a wee lad watching that's why I kind of experienced. It's like I'm kind of so immensely grateful that I was able to watch it in a way that cinema goers would have watched it, even though it was like, you know, quite.
It's quite rare these days that you go in and have a cinema experience with like nothing. The only thing I could really think of was around 2011, 2012, where me and my girlfriend at the time just went to the cinema and we were like, we'll just watch whatever film's coming next. And the next one was some film that I'd never heard of called Cabin in the Woods.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And I was like, and then after I was like, I could not have picked a better film to know nothing about.
Absolutely.
You go in, like, the first hour was just like classic teen, like dumb horror. And then the twist, and I was like, oh my, I remember it came out and she was like, well, that was a bit shit. And I was like, no, that was fucking genius.
Like, and that's why she's the ex-girlfriend.
Yeah, and I was just like, I'm so glad I knew nothing about that before I watched it.
Cabin in the Woods is superb. I make a concerted effort to know as little as I can.
Yeah, you're quite good with that, aren't you, David? Not watching trailers at all.
I don't watch trailers. I avoid threads like Reddit.
Yeah, I kind of pick and choose things like a lot of the Marvel stuff. I'll just watch the trailers because, you know, why not? Other stuff I'll be like, I'll avoid watching any. I think it was at Jurassic World we went to see. I remember going to cinema with you before and a trailer coming on. I just put my head like in between my knees and put my. So I was like, I don't want to see or hear anything.
And it's a good thing because it had some of the shots which are not even necessary to be in the trailer, like the mosasaur thing in the water,
like grabbing the Indominus.
No, it was the second one. And it was, there's a shot in the end when they've all escaped into the real world.
Oh,
and there's like a surfer, and it's just like, There's some.
I mean, a general thing about modern trailers is that if you don't watch modern trailers, like, you're in for at least like 2 twists that you. That wouldn't be twist if you were watching it. Like,
I think because of like social media and stuff as well, it's now so hard to. They just kind of sit the trailer out because it's like people know stuff anyway. Like in the latest Spider-Man trailer, they've just got Alfred Molina in there because they're like everyone's kind of read stuff about it already, so we might as well just stick him in the trailer.
I mean, the Sony ones are particularly bad. Like Spider-Man Homecoming had stuff from like the final acts that were like obvious like visual stuff, and although I'm definitely gonna try not to watch the next Spider-Man trailer.
You'll not believe the conversation I had today about trailers, where somebody mentioned a particular trailer that they thought was really, really good. I immediately thought, me and my friend David talk about how this is the best trailer ever all the time.
So they brought up Godzilla 2014.
They brought up the Godzilla 2014 trailer, and they're like, "Oh yeah, that was a really good trailer." I was like, "Oh that's my god,
that is a good trailer!" Yeah,
one of the best trailers ever made.
That's perfect.
It's one of the few trailers that I regularly go back and watch. Even though there's
it's like a little short film, isn't it? Really?
Everything about that haunting.
And like the really long shot, just the red streams, and you only
is it all that isn't it? There's nothing else.
You see like flash of like Bryan Cranston and like his wife, and like when he's like at the door, but you obviously don't know what it means. And all kind of those flash of stuff happens
really early on
at the start because like,
which is why a lot of people were pissed off about
because Bryan Cranston dies at like the end of the first act, really. When like from all stuff,
but he was definitely in it for enough time to justify.
Yeah, but a lot of people thought he was going to be like the main character throughout, when actually it's Aaron Taylor Johnson who's the main character throughout. Whose wife is then his sister in Age of Ultron,
That's why.
Not in real life.
No, his wife is a woman who is old enough to be his mother.
But I think
there's anything necessarily wrong with that.
They are divorced now. I think they're divorced now.
Well, they had 3 or 4 kids before then. So.
They made a pretty good run.
Pretty good.
But anyway, we've
pretty good at it. Clearly,
we've gone way off.
That's fine. It's fine. It's the time of the episode where you go way off.
We've gone
I've got a couple.
We need to get back on track.
I've got a couple of.
But like general feelings about the film.
Well, no. I've got some trivia.
Okay.
Heather Donahue's mother received sympathy cards from people who believed their daughter was actually missing or dead. That's one.
People believed. David, did you send Heather Donahue's mum a card?
Dear Mrs. Donahue.
I think I was shaking too much to write any kind of letter after. Although it was me and Thomas. We both like experienced it all together. It was wicked.
Good stuff. So he's also equally terrified.
Oh yeah, we both talk about it all the fucking time, man.
To be fair, I haven't been in a forest with Thomas, so maybe he's scared of forests.
Maybe.
The other one here is that apparently the bit when the tent was shaken, they didn't realise it was going to happen, which kind of makes sense.
I was wondering about that, but yeah.
The video camera one of the video cameras was returned after the shoot, so they made some of the budget back on that, which is quite cool. Apparently, they didn't give them. They gave them less food as the time went on to try and make them argue with each other more. I don't know if that's true, but that's quite mean.
The ethics are questionable, but I think that's quite.
Yeah, I mean, like in the past, it's been a lot worse. Like, have you heard the stories of like The Shining?
I thought you were gonna say there's another one. Yeah.
Who's the woman who plays?
The
main woman in The Shining.
Yeah, the mum.
But like she was like tortured by like Alfred Hitchcock like so much.
What was he doing there?
Like literally
I mean that's terrifying.
Actually. But no, like things like
Alfred Hitchcock.
Things like
Stanley Kubrick.
That's what I meant.
He's just a British man who's been dead for years.
Yeah, Stanley Kubrick's what I meant.
Yeah, apparently he was really manipulative.
Yeah, like
it's Shelley Duvall.
Shelley Duvall like kept her up for like 4 days. So like
they do like hundreds of takes
and hundreds of takes. But what apparently wasn't as harsh towards Jack Nicholson is just like, here, Jack, have a beer.
He was already pretty good at being unhinged, so
yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's kind of like it makes sense that then you also get other things like in Saving Private Ryan.
Yeah.
They all had to go do like the boot camp except Matt Damon, so that when it came to film, they'd like inherently just be like, oh, fuck Matt Damon.
Fuck Matt Damon.
Fuck Matt Damon.
Nice.
No, I was thinking of on the topic of witches, it's just the whole treatment on the Wizard of Oz. They were just all treated terribly.
Oh yeah,
but it was more just like health and safety stuff, like the fire stunts with the witch.
Was it Alfred Hitchcock turning up and just like fuck you?
No, it was the witch had like her skin like melted off her hands from like a fire stunt gone wrong, and like the original Tin Man had like asbestos poisoning or something like that.
Oh,
or,
so
like,
the Tin Man in it wasn't supposed to be the
I think so. Or aluminium paint.
Oh god,
like,
asbestos from the costume he was wearing.
Well, actually, the snow that was in some scenes was asbestos.
Oh, Jesus Christ!
I
mean, this film was like, was it 1930s?
I think it's in the 30s. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it would have been. Yeah,
when asbestos was like great.
Yeah,
they're literally like sprinkling it down on top of them, and they're like, like, stick out your tongue for the snow.
Oh god!
And there's like all the dwarves in it as well who played the Munchkins were like not treated well and stuff. As well,
that actually really doesn't surprise me.
There's like an urban legend that you can see. Like a dwarf has hung themselves in the background of a forest. But I think it's actually like a weird tropical like bird.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's loads of stuff like that. And the witch that actually played the Wicked Witch of the West, funnily enough, actually is referred to in the after she had like her skin burnt off her hand, she just had to wear like skin colored gloves so they could just carry on filming. And they made her like pay for a taxi back from the hospital and stuff. It's just like, there was no like legislation for like,
to be fair, it's probably cheaper than paying for the ambulance to the hospital in America. Am I right?
Yes,
I probably am right.
The last bit that I've got out of the few bits I copied and pasted in the last 5 minutes before we started recording is apparently, the three main leads believed the Blair Witch was a real thing, and they only found out afterwards when the film was released. And
I really hope
so. Was the Blair Witch? It's not in any sort of mythology. It's completely made up.
No, so
film.
I think it's kind of taken from like Salem witch kind of stuff, and like serial killings and stuff. But I don't know if you know anything else, David.
No, I don't know. But I imagine they do have a lot of like resources, like a lot of kind of lore they can base things on.
Yeah, I don't know.
But yeah, I mean, I don't like with regards to me having seen this film a lot when I was younger. I've got very vivid memories of like a lot of things that happened, but there's a lot of stuff that I kind of don't remember as well. But I do remember the kind of like main thing, like the really, really main points. I think that's why I was a little bit lackluster watching it last night. My attention did wane a bit only because I knew exactly what was happening. I'm not very good. I'm not very good these days at rewatching films. I do like struggle to focus. So there were like specific things where things were kind of happening, and I was like, oh, I don't really know how they got to this point. But the whole thing with like the breaking of the branches, the like blue shit all over his stuff, the tongue and stuff, that's like etched into my mind forever.
Really?
For sure.
Like, it didn't really stick with me. Like the bit, the tonguey, fingery, hairy, toothy, bloody, toothy bit. I was like, that's pretty creepy.
Yeah, I think it's the reactions as well that I think kind of
like things like the branches snapping. I didn't really even notice, and the blue stuff. I was just like,
but then like imagine watching it thinking everything was real though. That's like the key.
I have to say, like when I left to go play football, it was dark when I left my flat, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna listen to a podcast and distract myself. And then I was like walking down, like I had to walk down like an alleyway to football, and I was just like, do. To be
fair, we'll talk about it in just a sec, but I had very similar reaction after watching the reboot / sequel. Which I guess we could talk about now. I've got a couple of bits just on the marketing.
Yeah, maybe
the marketing just says basically they did fake police reports about missing students. They did some newsreel stuff before. They were originally going to include that as an epilogue to the film.
Yeah, so like,
did you see anything about
trailer?
Yes,
is obviously
they've got
the trailer we watched is mostly.
I think that's unused stuff from the
it's
cut,
mostly not in there. It's like a news report of 3 filmmakers that got missing, and it's even got one of their dads.
Yeah, there's an actor on
there.
They've
cast one of their dads, but who's not in the film, but is in the trailer.
I think it gives the impression that the film
real.
Is but like for me as well, it gives the impression that the film is about them trying to figure out what happened as opposed to just watching the fan footage.
You're absolutely right. Yeah, because apart from her saying her little speech, all the audio in that is we gotta find out what happened. Yeah, but the other thing that at Cannes Film Festival they put up missing posters as like a viral marketing thing.
Yeah,
so that's quite a cool thing there. But,
yeah, I've seen those posters.
Yeah, but yeah, do we want to do ratings and then talk about the sequel, or talk about the?
Let's do the sequel. Finish on the ratings
stuff first. Sure. Well, me and David went to see it. Probably was it 2018? I think it came.
Yeah,
out.
We saw it before. It was a pre.
Yeah, we got preview tickets, free, I think, as well, weren't they?
Yeah, it was because of your membership.
I had some membership for.
York, right?
Yeah. So it was Picture House Cinemas. Went down to the Comedia.
I think the initial reviews that came out were like really fucking good for it.
They were really good initially.
Because like they could kind of like things either start off really good or really poorly, and it kind of goes towards a kind of mediating point.
Yeah.
But so because of that, my mind was like, this is going to be fucking good.
Yeah.
And I'm so glad I went in with that mindset.
Yeah, good. Yeah, because it was. So it's much more modernized. They do stuff like in Monster Project, but the budget's much higher. It's kind of like Project X kind of visuals almost.
Right.
And they've got a drone at one point, haven't they? Which quickly, stuff goes wrong and they can't. But without getting too much into it, because I think it's definitely worth a watch, even if you didn't if anyone's listening and they didn't particularly love this.
I'm a bit annoyed about what I said earlier on. To be honest,
no, it's all right. There's some. They do some good stuff.
What did you say earlier?
Don't worry.
They do some good stuff with the getting trapped there and stuff, and it's they kind of show that it's hard to leave and that you get turned around. It's done in a more obvious way. It's still subtle, but
I think they do just like dig a bit deeper into what is actually happening in the mind.
Yeah, and I think we learn more about the witch and who maybe she was, and I think there's something to do with she was kind of stretched out on like a rack, and that's kind of what the imagery of the stick men comes from. They kind of add little bits and pieces to the lore,
which is how I've always pictured her to
the
be
main.
Yes, do you see the witch in this then?
I can't remember. Maybe
I feel like you would remember.
Well, I don't really want to give anything away. But the main character is the younger brother of Heather.
Right.
So he's got personal motivation to go find.
Oh, what the
this
dude?
time
the
it's personal.
Because so it starts. They receive a videotape in the house that's from 2017, and there's a flash of like a girl in the mirror who's recording the stuff, and he's like, "That's Heather, so we're gonna go find her." And then he gets like a crew together of his friends. They've got way more equipment, like I say, and then they meet some local kids and they go in, and then shit goes down.
Just fucking send in the army, like.
Well, they're not gonna believe him and stuff. But yeah, it's good. I thought it's so much more. This works really well. This one, but it's updated. It's faster paced. It's not overly like silly or and there's some creepy moments and fun stuff. Yeah, like I would watch that again much more like quickly than the original one because there's more to it.
Right.
Yeah.
But it obviously wouldn't have been what it was without the original one, and the tension and stuff is probably more like artistic and like masterful.
I was going to say some of the like the shots in it are really good. It's a very clean kind of
in the original one.
No, now. So I mean, because they kind of utilize modern cameras, and they do make like an effort to be like, we're utilizing as much like modern.
And they do like putting the thing up.
Drones
they put the drone up, or they'll put like a camp shot up, and you can see like in this one, in the original Blair Witch, there's quite a lot of shots where it's so grainy and it's all like dead leaves and trees, and it's kind of hard to see. And it kind of works sometimes because it's a bit disorientating, but it also looks like when a film, like when it distorts and it's like, like,
there was times where I was like, I don't know if we're looking at the floor through the trees or up into the sky.
Whereas in the new one, it is like crystal clear, and the forest almost looks like a different forest. I don't know if it was filmed in the same place. It's probably not. It's more like
I don't think that in the Blair Witch Project. It must be like autumn or winter because there's no leaves on it.
And which seems like a fucking stupid time. They're freezing cold at night, and it's like
But it's probably
Why did
easier
you
to
go out to-
navigate with no leaves.
Maybe,
at the
yeah,
same time.
yeah,
But yeah,
true.
this is like, I think this must be like, if it is in the same forest, it'll be like spring or summer.
Yeah,
because
it seems more
it's like
green
really
and like,
dense.
but yeah,
dense
it's really
vegetation.
good. If I think it was on either Netflix or Prime, if we decide that we aren't doing an episode on it, which I guess we can't really. We're sticking pretty to it. We could potentially do a bonus, but then like
the video game. I'm pretty sure there was a video game.
The video game I was about to say.
Is it called the Blair Witch Project?
It is called.
And that actually looks pretty good.
What did
Blair
that come out on?
Witch. It's just called Blair Witch.
Oh,
they're really making your life difficult.
Yeah, I mean, we did have the makers, the devs on Project Zomboid say like, "Oh, I knew there was a reason we put Project in our title." After we made an episode about that,
which was very sweet of them.
Yeah,
and
they seem
it's
like good
true.
lads.
Everyone should put Project in their name.
Yeah, like Christopher Nolan. Before you've named your Robert Oppenheimer film, call it the Manhattan Project.
He knows what he has to
call
do.
it Oppenheimer Project. Or
Yeah. Like you need to make sure we can talk about it.
Nice.
So,
okay, cool. Yeah.
Shall we? Final thoughts?
Yeah, let's do some final thoughts and ratings. Anyone particularly want to go first?
So we rate every film out of 10.
I mean, honestly, like this film has kind of shaped my like love of film. I do love like found footage. I love horror as well. Like I'm always seeking out like genuinely terrifying and creepy horrors. I think there's an attempt to emulate how I felt whilst watching this film when I was younger.
Right.
So I kind of struggled to give it anything but 10, to be honest.
He's giving it a full 10. Wow.
10
honestly, like, I find it difficult to think of a film that I've seen that has impacted me in the same way.
Good. That's good stuff.
Fair
That's
enough.
like
That's
fine. That's very
Sam?
good.
Weekly basis. Yeah,
I'm not sure. I had an idea. I was thinking I had an 8 in mind because although there's some stuff that I think it could do better, I think some of the pacing could have been slightly better. I think I would like to see a little bit more, not necessarily see more of witches and stuff, but I think that in that final bit, it kind of, that final sequence especially kind of grinds to a halt a little bit before it kind of gets going for me. The bit where they're running in the peak of the film, I think is scarier than the final bit. That's a big problem for me. And that was the kind of thing that I had in my head. I was thinking, I remember it ends with him looking at the wall, and that kind of took a little bit away from me. So I don't know if that's a real issue or not, but I think 8 is either the highest or at least joint highest I've done on this podcast. So it still is, is very high praise. And I think everything that you can so clearly see how this has affected horror films and found footage films, especially. Like it's the blueprint for them, and it's rare that anything does it better than this. I mean, potentially I should be saying a 9 based on that, but I think I'll stick with an 8 because it was short and sweet. If it had been longer, I think I probably would have put it down because who knows? Anyway, I'm going for an 8 there. I'm going for an 8.
Right.
Cool.
You might have noticed during the recording of this that I don't think I liked it as much as you two did. In fact, I know I didn't like it as much as you two did. And like, there was moments I was bored. Most of the daytime stuff, I was a little bit bored. And I can't give it a 10 out of 10. You can't be bored in a film you love.
No, of course.
And obviously everyone, I'm not saying you're wrong with your 10 out of 10.
I understand it's very specific to my...
And
that's
I'm not even saying you're wrong with your 8 out of 10.
But I'm giving it a 1 out of 10.
No, like it was pretty scary, but I feel like that's like the bare minimum for a horror film. Like,
I know. I mean, like, Monster Project wasn't scary at all.
No.
So, and you gave that like a 7 out of 10.
I gave that a 6, I think.
No, I don't know.
I was also drunk when I watched that.
To be fair, anyway, you carry
I thought that was scarier than this.
No, you didn't.
And like, this was like, is creepy at moments, but like, it soon passed.
To be fair,
like,
yeah.
And as you've kind of said, like, the peak of the film at the end isn't really scary. They're going around the house, they're about to die, and then they just die.
Yeah.
And then the other thing of like, I understand the significance of Blair Witch Project. I understand it's arguably the most important horror films of the last 30 years and how it pioneered every found footage film after that. But as I've said many times before, I fucking hate found footage films.
That's true. Yeah,
and
they're very
based on that, I can solely blame Blair Witch Project for the hundreds of shit found footage films we've had since. Like, it all comes back to this. But no, like, seriously, like, there's good bits I like. There's bits that I was pretty indifferent towards. Last night when it finished, I had in my head a 6.
But you finished it this morning.
Earlier today when I finished it, I had in my head a 6.
I mean, do you reckon? Yeah.
I nearly got persuaded up to a 7 whilst we were talking about it. But then your criticism at the end, I was like, actually, no, I think I will stick with a 6. So I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10.
Well, that's actually higher than what I thought it was going to be about two minutes ago.
I fucking hated the film.
I hate found footage. I didn't hate the film. I thought it was good. It was a good horror film. It was creepy and like, especially on its budget, the fact you don't see anything, it's well made.
Yeah. I think the performances are like like the scared. I think the scared performances are the parts that really stick with me. Some of the arguing and stuff can be a bit here and there. Heather's a bit annoying in general.
I don't think the acting is particularly anything to shout about.
I think it's better. I think it's better than most of the films that we've watched on this.
I'm not sure it is.
Fair enough.
It's quite difficult to quantify because there is no script and it's
they've obviously done a good like improv job.
Yeah.
And at the end, I know people really love this film, so I'm not gonna shit on it. It just, in my personal view, I don't think I can go higher than a 6.
No, that's fine. Yeah,
I'm not angry. That's fine.
Stop being so angry.
I'm not.
You guys can't see, but he's literally shaking his fist at me. He's doing that classic like hand across the throat motion.
I'm gonna sleep this off. Okay.
Right, I'm gonna find those fucking twig people in my bed when I get home.
I'll sleep it off. It's
going to be piles of rocks everywhere.
There's going to be piles of rocks everywhere.
I mean, interestingly, I know for a fact that if I watched it now for the first time, I definitely wouldn't be giving it 10.
No, and I think that's partly for me. I think partly for something that me and David both share here is having watched it when we were younger. I wouldn't have been as young, but I think you kind of regress a little bit while watching some of the stressful scenes, and you kind of feel how you felt. And I can totally see, like, even thinking about it when you were talking, Lewis, something like Paranormal Activity. I remember, I think I was probably more scared during Paranormal Activity than I was watching this, but I don't think it's as good of a film. I just think the tension is done it's kind of more artificially raised kind of thing.
And
other films,
horror films aren't judged on like the more scared you are, the better the film.
Well, I don't know. I think a lot of people.
There's an aspect of it,
but I don't think that's fair. Because then it's.
I think that's a pretty like.
No,
like people will come out and be like, "Oh, it's throwing up everywhere." And it's like fucking
in my opinion, it does make it a better film.
But generally,
for some people,
I think some people are a bit like. I think some people do solely judge horror films because. Surely scary, but I think also some filmmakers make horror films just to be scary and not to have like a good story.
Surely
like
that would make like those films that just have like shitty jump scare every 5 minutes.
Yeah, but that's
like
not
the
scary
best
for
films.
everyone though.
I mean, for me, it can only be scary if it's also a well-written story too.
Yeah, like you get some horror films that like aren't particularly scary but are really, really good.
Yeah, but I think that generally people go to horror films to have something that's scary.
Yeah, and people voted for the Nazis.
Okay,
you can't trust people.
But you're saying I don't think people really watch horror films to be scared. I'm like, no, that's literally the reason why people watch.
I'm not saying people don't watch horror films to be scared. I'm just saying like the more,
but they often
more scary they are doesn't mean the better than they are.
No, but that is. But I would say, I would say a lot of people. Yes. I think a lot of people do think that though.
to what?
The scarier it is.
The better it is.
Yeah, I think that most people think that though.
If I'm watching a horror film,
you can get
you get really scared of horror films.
I know, so I get scared of all of them. But like, you can get really good horror films that aren't just really scary.
Generally speaking,
that's what I mean.
Oh yeah.
But generally speaking, I think people gravitate towards the scarier ones.
I can never understand someone saying they didn't enjoy a film, but they got really scared by it. that doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, because David's
Or
like
not enjoyed.
Blair Witch
but
scarred
someone,
him, and now he's seeking that thrill out all the time.
But for someone to say a film is bad, and they got scared by it, I think
you can get scared by a bad film.
It's scary how bad that film.
I don't think it would be like a totally bad film.
I went to the cinema to see the fucking Haunting in Connecticut. It's shit film. Scared me. Shit film. Like,
scared you at like several points throughout.
Yeah, fucking shitty jump scares.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Oh, I mean, jump scares, they sort of don't count though, do they? Really?
I mean,
it's just like a reflex
like
response.
Half
it's
the
not
fucking horror films these days are just jump scares.
So yeah, I think we're all on the same page with like genuinely scary stuff.
Sorry, I'm going off on a tangent. I was going to say, I don't actually know how old I was when I watched that. But I'm pretty sure my mum didn't know I was watching.
But I'm thinking like genuinely scary would be a combination of, it's well done.
Yeah.
And the plot doesn't have to necessarily be good, but tension's built and it pays off, and it's like not cheap.
What
cheap
did we
scares.
Like, It Follows is a good scary.
Yeah, I
film.
loved watching that with
you. Did we watch that together?
Yeah, was that?
When we were at uni. Yeah.
That was one of the funniest experiences of my life. I didn't realize, because that's the first horror film I'd watched with you, and you literally shriek. There were so many points where you were like, ah!
He grabs onto the people next to him.
And it's also
we forced you to watch it as well.
Yeah,
you were like, I don't.
But like, it's a good film. I'm glad I watched it. But it's also one of those where it's like, I'm screaming, and in my head I'm like, I'm not even scared anymore. Why the fuck am I still screaming? And there's still the noise is still coming up my mouth. I'm like I moved on.
It's like the Woman in Black when the pigeon came out the chimney, and it was like a fake jump scare before the real one.
Yeah,
and Lewis was like,
and also like we had like four of us like sitting on a bed watching that, and it was projected on a wall at the end of the bed.
What, for Women in Black?
Yeah. So who was the one sitting on that end of the bed? Like, of course it was me, closest to the fucking film.
Because that's how it gets you if you're closer to it.
Yeah.
But anyway, we've all done our ratings. We've all said a little. Anyone got anything to add particularly?
I wish I could just experience it as a naive young lad for the first time again. Really.
And I do think, I think if you saw this film in 1999, it would almost like inarguably be scarier than watching it now.
It is a little bit sad how I don't think we're ever gonna really watch something like that again.
Yeah. I mean, until we get to like
unless
VR,
unless there is like a viral video that goes around.
But it will be disproven. Like immediately, people will be. But it has to be a step up in technology.
You do sometimes come across like scary films that you haven't really heard much about that is still like the Babadook I watched a couple of years ago. Didn't really know much about it. It's really good.
I've only seen the first half of that.
It's really good.
The scariest bit of that film was when I found it really scary, but the scariest bit was when my housemate's foot touched my arm.
I think you told me about this actually.
I just screamed. It's horrible.
I watched half of it at our friend's house the morning after a party, and I think you were there as well. And then we didn't watch the rest of it, and I've just never seen it.
Everyone talks about that kid, and he's just super
like he's just an Australian annoying kid. Like, the other thing I watched St. Maud not long ago.
I watched that as well, like last month.
And like it's kind of creepy, but the only bit that's genuinely scary is like the bit where like she jumps at the bed, and then the last shot, the only actual scary bit.
Don't tell me anything.
I won't tell you anything, but
it's good. It's good.
It's really good.
Yeah. I've been planning on watching it.
Really good
it's on, I think, Amazon Prime. So.
Yeah, I think that's what I watched it on.
Yeah.
I watched a lot of stuff with Mark Commode afterwards. He was like, I think that was his favorite film that year.
That's this year.
Was it this year?
Early this year.
Oh, it may have been like the first half of the year, because I know he does a lot of that, like best films in the first half of the year thing. So it could have been.
Personal project.
Yeah. So, Dave, if you're not quite familiar, we just talk about everything we've been.
David, if you're not quiet, we can.
Dave, you're not quiet. Oh no, please do talk. We just talk about anything we've been watching or doing over the last week or so.
Yeah. Well, it's actually been a couple of weeks. We never mentioned it at the start, did we? We had a week off, Lewis.
We actually did have a week off. We put our feet up and just didn't podcast. The sun was out. The birds were tweeting. and there was no podcasting in the world.
Why not?
And now we're back to it. So, personal projects.
I was at a wedding. I can tell you that for my personal projects. As you heard a couple episodes ago, Amy's brother got married, so we were off doing that, which was good fun. First wedding I've been to for about 18 years, so my first wedding as an adult.
That's crazy.
So it was quite a different experience to being 10 years old at a wedding. Didn't sit on the kids' table for one thing.
I think the first wedding I went to, I was like 16. And I've been to I went to 4
one
or
as
5
a
since.
child. Yeah, went to one as like a less than 10-year-old, maybe like 5 or 6, and then one was about 9 or 10. But yeah, good fun. Other than that,
Did he drink?
Yes, I had quite
Key
a cold,
aspect
so
of
I
the
didn't
wedding.
drink too much initially, and then I did drink quite a bit, and had a good time. Didn't feel too awful the next day, so that was good. But I watched 4 or 5 episodes of Squid Game, and it turns out, just on our mini break there to use the toilet, that David has also watched 4 episodes of Squid Game.
Oh,
and Lewis has watched all of Squid Game.
So are you both at the same point?
Well, I think I'm a little bit ahead.
I got to.
So what's just happened?
We'll do it all on you, David.
So it's just like tug of war.
Oh,
Wait,
just
which-
And then I started episode 5 and watched the
bit
first
where-
10
I
minutes.
did that when I finished the episode. I think I was going out.
I think
I'm
most
just going to
people
watch
did
the
that as
start.
well. I've spoken to someone else who also did that.
Yeah, I think
So
I was going
I
to
think
bed
I've
actually.
done
But I was
that.
like, actually, I'm going to watch the end of the tug of war and then go to bed.
Oh, that tug of war was good, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was like 2 weeks ago. Do you know what? I don't think I'm going to finish it.
What?
Yeah.
It gets better after that.
Really? I thought it was great already.
Yeah.
Bloody
Are
hell.
saying-
Are you saying it
better.
gets worse?
I haven't. I've seen one. I've seen the episodes where it's an in between games.
Yeah.
Go on,
episodes.
tell me if it gets worse.
No, it's great so far.
Give me
There's,
honest-
there's
You-
intrigue. You
What
meet.
about episode
I
9?
feel like
I haven't
episode
watched episode
Tell
9.
me, I want to know.
episode 6 is like the heartbreak episode.
Oh, really?
I'll just say that.
Oh, do you know what? Oh, that's
I've only watched-
that's made me remember something I read actually.
Well, don't tell me
Okay,
because I'm
don't
only on
worry.
I'll
episode
tell
5.
this. Look, it makes me remember.
I've got headphones on.
guys, fucking finish Squid Game.
I'm watching it one episode
David,
a night.
finish Squid Game.
I might do.
No, I'm telling you.
Yeah,
Jason.
okay.
I'm
I
not giving you the
also-
option.
Okay, I know. I've got them in that case.
I also started
don't have a
watching
choice.
because I'm just talking all the time. Apparently, I started watching an animated TV show that just went up on Netflix.
Sam loves his anime.
Castlevania, incredible.
Sam loves his
No.
Netflix anime that turns out to be porn.
Animated, but it's not anime.
That's
It's
not
an
what you
American
said.
thing, and it's called Inside Job, and it's very much.
Oh, is that with Denzel Washington?
No, listen to me. Fuck both of you. It is. It's like it's very much like Rick and Morty mixed with something
Right.
like Gravity
I think I've
Falls.
seen it pop up actually.
Well,
That was the thing with Mark Zuckerberg.
it's
wasn't
that I sent you the
Yeah.
clip.
it?
Yeah. And it's quite silly. And the main character, she is played by Lizzie Kaplan, the
Right.
famous actress.
Yeah.
Not the other one that
I
lives
feel,
down
I
the
feel like
road.
most like famous women in film and TV are played by famous actresses.
Yeah.
Yes.
Good point.
But quite often there'll be a voice actress, and they might not be someone that we know outside of that. So another fuck you. Lewis.
Whoa.
Anyway,
this,
and
this
Chris-
is a family-friendly pod.
And Christian Slater plays her dad, who is basically Rick from Rick and Morty.
Right.
And she works for like a shadow agency thing, and it's like every conspiracy theory is real, and they're like controlling the government. And she works with wacky colleagues, and it's very Rick and Morty. But it's it's fresh, and
it's not Justin Roiland.
there's good
is it?
stuff going on. It's not Justin Roiland, it's Alex Hirsch who actually did do Gravity Falls. If you've seen that, Gravity Falls.
Yeah. I have.
But it's good. It's 10 episodes on
No, I haven't,
Netflix. If you like stuff like Arch from Rick and Morty, it is very
Cool.
much along that
I'll
side of
check it out,
things. So
maybe.
I will shut up and I'll let whoever wants to go next go next.
David, have you been doing
I don't
anything?
know. I watched a film. Oh no, that was
Yeah, that was what I thought. What was that film I watched recently?
Oh yeah.
I haven't put that
No,
on
I haven't
Letterboxd,
been.
actually.
I haven't really been consuming much media. To be
Right.
honest.
You know, have you
I
been
do-
doing,
I
what
do-
else have you been doing then?
I do. I don't know.
What else you been doing?
If you haven't been consuming media, everyone knows it's consume.
I don't know. I've been wanting to consume media. Oh no, I've been watching Formula One Drive to Survive. Formula One. I've been getting well into Formula One actually.
Yeah, fair
Like,
enough.
I've always been
You
into
should get the
it.
game. The game is
But-
fun. You can do like
Oh,
in real
yeah, I
time.
get quite a lot.
And literally you spend like 8 hours just doing like one race.
That's yeah. I mean, it does seem very difficult the game. But I've always been into it. Like I watched it since I was since the end of Michael Schumacher. I think when he first retired.
The end of Michael
so
Schumacher.
like mid to early 2000s.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
it's
like,
kind of,
I've kind of got a lot.
It's kind of the year I kind of
started
started half following it. I think I got into it more when Lewis Hamilton kind of broke through.
Yeah,
because it was like a British racer,
a British racer who could actually win.
That was actually good.
Yeah,
because like Jenson Button was around before that, but it was before he was good.
Yeah.
He only got good after Lewis Hamilton came along.
He just had a really shit car.
He needed that inspiration.
Yeah. Now Lewis Hamilton's like arguably
he's got the same number of world championships as Schumacher, but
the most successful driver
wins.
ever.
What's the extent of your knowledge, Sam?
I don't know anything about Formula 1. My granddad used to like Formula 1.
Which is weird. So I think can you drive?
Oh no, I can't drive.
You're the only one of the three of us that can actually drive.
Yes. I think you can probably
driver.
drive a F1 car without having a license because it's off road. So.
There's so many. There's like a million.
So we could all drive one if we had the opportunity.
No, I don't think any of us could drive one.
No, you could drive one.
I see the thing that Tom Cruise drove one.
The buttons though, there are so many buttons.
I think what the hell do they do?
No, the thing that
it's just
Tom
Jensen.
Cruise did like a PR thing, and he like drove a Formula 1 car, and one of the team that was working with him, like the actual professionals, were like, he picked this up like so ridiculously quickly.
Yeah,
like we don't.
He's like
they're like usually like people spend like 2 weeks practicing these cars and can't get past like 150 miles per hour. And they were like, Tom Cruise like second lap was going 200 and was just nailing it.
He does a lot of
I don't think he cares. I don't think he has a
these people were literally saying like in another lifetime Tom Cruise could easily have been a Formula 1 driver.
It honestly
like, doesn't even surprise me. Like
I think there are certain people who, if they train enough in anything, they will just reach the very top. I think he's one of those people, to be honest.
Yeah, definitely. Like,
because he's got a
unless it's something that's like you need like a natural talent for. If there's something you can just train yourself to be really good at, he will do that.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
How about you, though?
So yeah, I think trying to think. The only thing I really watched 1969's All Monsters Attack, which is like the 7th or 8th Godzilla film. So I've got the Criterion Collection Blu-ray set. I haven't watched one in a while, so I watched the next one because I'm working my way through it. All Monsters Attack. Absolutely shit. Like,
was it?
Probably the worst Japanese Godzilla film ever.
Really?
All Monsters Attack.
Because like it's set in a universe where like the Godzilla films exist.
Right.
And it's like this little kid who's like getting bullied at school, and then like goes home and dreams that he's friends with Minilla, who's the son of Godzilla, and he's like teaching him how to deal with bullies. And then they watch Godzilla like fight his monsters, but like all the Godzilla footage is like reused footage.
Right.
So like Godzilla looks different between scene and scene, and like you've seen everything before. And there's one bit where like this like 12-year-old kid is like chatting to the son of Godzilla.
Right.
And then like the son of Godzilla, and they're the same height. And then the son of Godzilla walks over to Godzilla and he's like up to Godzilla's shoulders. And like, is Godzilla like 6 foot in this film?
Well, this kid is like massive.
Yeah, like this is bonkers. And like,
it sounds quite funny to me.
But it's terrible. Like it's really, really bad. I think there's one scene where they use new Godzilla footage where he's like teaching his son how to do the.
So it's like a weird family film then.
Yeah, they said, because I've got in the book it says like they're making, and at the time the Gamera films were getting really popular in Japan, which are more like kid orientated. So like, let's make a kids film, and they made it, but like it is just like
so they're kind of just pandering to
like the story is that like there's these two like bank robbers that are hiding out in this abandoned warehouse, and they kidnap the kid, and then he just like dreams of being friends with Godzilla. It's
weird.
It's
That's
bad.
such a strange.
It's bad.
But is it
and also
like
he gets bullied by like these kids, and like at one point at the start they're like, "Oh, we'll beat you up if you don't." There's like a guy like painting, and they're like, "Oh, we'll beat you up if you don't like toot a horn at him to make him like fall over with the pain." And then at the end, he like meets these kids again who are like trying to bully him. So he fights the lead kid and like beats him, and he's like, "Manila doesn't stand down." And then they like become friends, and then he's like, "Go do the horn at the guy painting." He's like, "Okay," and then does it. And then the guy like Jason was like, Wait, what fucking lesson have you learned here? Like, the way to be popular is to like be friends with the bullies and also be a bully. Like, that's the message for the ages.
So there's just no redeeming qualities.
Beat up other bullies.
Not really. No,
it sounds shit.
It is shit.
2 out of 10.
Sounds like a shite fest.
Yeah, I'm kind of glad I got past it because
You're watching them in order then, yeah?
Yeah, because the Criterion Collection I've got is this Showa era, so it's like 15 films. Up from like obviously the 54 one up to like the late 70s.
Yeah. Oh, cool.
Nice.
And the quality has dropped a bit with this. I think that hopefully it'll come back soon. I can't remember what one's next actually. Yeah. But like I think like 2 films before this was like King Ghidorah and it was absolutely banging. So more Ghidorah, more Mothra.
So fast.
More Ghidorah, more Mothra. That's the moral of the
story. I also played
Subnautica
as well.
Oh, have you? Oh, sick. I need to get back into it. Yeah.
I know that you played it, Sam. I don't think you have, Lewis.
No, I definitely Lewis doesn't play much.
That was really good. So that's another little project.
Stuff.
Oh yeah, cool. Nice. How did you get much into it?
Yeah, I played it over like 2 days, but I really didn't get very far in it. But I kind of got to grips with the mechanics, and then I started going quite deep.
Yeah, it's
and then
good.
there was some like weird shit down there, and I actually did like freak out.
It can be very. It's like Minecraft, but scary.
Yeah,
Minecraft, but scary,
and like underwater.
Right,
and you just keep going deeper.
It's just like the unknown.
Oh,
that's what
I built
into the unknown.
I built a whole. I think I told you, David. I built a whole big submarine that took me ages to build.
That's so cool.
And then I started going down deeper and deeper, and I was using my sonar. And then I saw like this massive thing just on the sonar thing.
Oh, man.
And I was like, fuck. And then there was loads of things and they all came and I couldn't see them when I was trying to run away.
So
and they destroyed my fucking submarine. I died. I respawned back at the other thing. And all my fucking work was for nothing. It was so scary because it was these giant like jellyfish, weird, scary. Yeah, it was very scary. But yeah, good little survival horror. And there's a sequel, Below Zero or something.
Oh, they made a sequel to it.
It's in PS.
See, I'm nowhere near that point of even making a submarine.
No,
I'm still having a fantastic time there.
Yeah, have you got flippers yet or not?
I think so. I've got like double oxygen.
Oh, cool.
So I think I
literally had like
underwater
for
like 1 minute now. I think.
Yeah, good stuff.
No, maybe a bit longer than that.
Right.
Cool.
So
well,
is that just about it?
I think we'll wrap up the personal project. So, yeah, if you liked what you heard today, you can give us a review, Lewis. Do you wanna...
Yeah. So obviously, the best way to promote the show and kind of get our name out there and do more for us is give us a 5-star review on whatever service you're listening to it on. It really goes a long way. Even if you think maybe we're not 5-star, maybe you think we're like a 4-star, give us a 5-star anyway and tell us what we can do to improve.
Absolutely.
So honestly, it's really nice, like reading the reviews and stuff kind of gives us a boost to kind of keep doing this stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, I think Spotify is the only one that doesn't have a rating system, but
yeah,
anything else you can just give us that 5-star and it really helps. You can also get in contact with us, can't you, Sam?
That's right. So if you want to send us an email with either a suggestion, a bit of feedback, you want to correct us on something, whatever it may be, you can reach us at theprojectprojectpod@gmail.com. On Facebook and Instagram, we are the Project Pod, and on Twitter at that Project Pods. So those 3 there, mainly Instagram and Twitter. Follow us for updates on episodes, clips of episodes, little bits of promo and kind of trivia follow-ups and stuff. And on Reddit, the Project subreddit is a place where you can kind of discuss stuff. Yeah, still kind of getting that up and going, really, but. You know, anyone who wants to jump on and offer any kind of bits of suggestions or questions or whatever, really, to be honest. But yeah, I think that will wrap up ProjOctober then. So thank you, David, for coming on and wrapping it up with us.
It's been a pleasure having you on the show.
Thank you guys for having me.
Indeed. And we'll bear you in mind for any future horror, especially found footage.
Thank you.
Yeah. We do enough found footage.
I'll try and find a horror fan footage.
Yeah,
project.
that would be lovely. Yeah, we've got quite a few in the bag, so we can send over a thing.
Yeah, but yeah, that is so. From next week, we'll go back to our usual setup of a non-ProjOctober.
That's right.
Thing.
So maybe something a bit less spooky.
Yeah, like we still have been doing the odd spooky thing, but maybe the first one after.
I think we'll probably
we'll step out of the spookiness and.
That's right. And I think maybe I don't know how far we'll look ahead, but maybe if there's anything super good for next ProjOctober, we might keep it in the bag.
We'll
see.
The next we might do another similar thing for Christmas.
Yeah,
in
if
a couple
we can
of
get
months.
enough. We'll definitely do at least one Christmas episode.
A Merry Project. we'll come up with a name if we do it.
Merry Projmas.
Merry Projmas. Yeah. And on that note, thank you for listening. Hear you next week.
Thank you for listening.
And thank you for listening. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye. Berries and cream, berries and cream. I'm a little boy who loves berries and cream. Up the octave. Berries and cream, berries and cream. I'm a little boy who loves berries and cream. Easy peasy. Nice and easy.
It's a bit pedo-y.